see you. I don't wanna hear you tonight. I don't wanna fight you. You don't wanna know if I feel right. I don't wanna just forgive you, I just wanna be fine. I've been waiting for a sign to light up, yeah. And your heart is out of sight. I just wanna feel mine. Hey you, I'm gonna be the one for another one. Hey you, maybe then you know that I was never one. I don't wanna see you, I don't wanna fear you tonight. You don't wanna know me, you just wanna make sure you're right. I'm gonna be the one for another one. Maybe then you'll know that I was never one. I'm gonna be the one for another one. I don't wanna feel you tonight. Got me. Got me. Can I feel you? Got me. Got me. Can I feel you? I don't wanna call you. I don't wanna know what you think. I'm the one you go to whenever you feel like you're about to sink. I don't wanna just forget you, but I wanna be fine. I'll be waiting for a sign to light up, yeah. And your heart is out of sight. I just wanna feel mine. Hey you, I could become the one for another one. Hey you, maybe then you'll know that I was never one. I'm gonna be the one for another one. Maybe then you'll know that I was never one. I'm gonna be the one for another one. I don't wanna fear you tonight. Got me. Got me. Yeah, me, got me, got me. Can I hear you? Got me. I don't wanna see you. I don't wanna hear you tonight. I don't wanna fight you. You don't wanna know if I feel right.
Всем привет! Мы с вами начинаем новое прохождение под названием Synchronicity. Как-то так. Там еще есть приписка Tomorrow comes today. Вот. Текс. Ой, а что ты такая громкая? Ты же не была такой громкой. Вот. В общем, это у нас квестик. С издателем вышли эти дайделики, наши любимые. Да. Так что квестик, я думаю, что будет необычный. Плюс я его начинала как-то играть и года 2-3 назад, где-то так. Поиграла пару часов, ничего не прошла, и, короче, я забросила его. Это, в общем, еще одна игрушка, вот как мы играли в A New Beginning. Вот, я ее тоже забросила, потому что я не смогла ее пройти. Вот. Надеюсь, что сейчас мы с вами вместе пройдем. Возможно, вы мне где-то поможете. Вот. Так, начинаем новую игру. мало что я помню из того, что играла. Думаешь, он поправится? Наверное, надо голоса погромче сделать. Я не знаю, озвучивать то, что они говорят. Будем надеяться, что он скоро проснется. Шрифт какой-то маленький, мне кажется. Держись, дружище, не сдавайся.
Wake up, Michael.
О, здесь голоса громкие.
You have to wake up.
Кто ты? Кто здесь? Где ты? Где ты прячешься? Что происходит? Что это за место? Прошу, ответь. Не знаю, кто ты?
Who are you? Who's there?
Please, Michael, wake up. Wake up.
This silence. This darkness. Where am I? Damn it. I can't remember.
Где ты? Где ты прячешься?
Where are you? Where are you hiding?
Michael, please wake up. You have to wake up.
Michael? Is that my name? Please tell me where I am. I can't remember anything.
Сороконожка. Они не разработчиками, а издателями выступали для этой игры. Вот. Разработчик вообще это ребята, которые сделали вот эту вот игру, где подглядывать через компьютеры надо. Что-то там do not... В общем, я сейчас не вспомню даже, как ее название. Я просто знаю, что механика, там надо смотреть в мониторы. И типа смотреть... за кем-то. В общем, но я сама не играла. Вот. Но, по-моему, у Ильнура есть эта игра. А так, да, это квестик.
What's happening? What is this place? Please, tell me.
Wake up, Michael. Please wake up. Wake up now.
Don't go. Please, come back. Come back. This silence. This darkness. This emptiness.
У нас есть портфель. Пустой. Так, окей. Масляная лампа. Так. Что еще есть? Глава 1. Лагерь полный крыс.
Good morning. I hope you're feeling better.
But...
Now don't be alarmed. I'm glad you feel strong enough to get out of bed. That's wonderful news. I must say you're looking much better, considering what you've been through, of course.
Who are you?
Yes, of course. Forgive my manners. You've been with us for so long that I forgot that you don't know who we are. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Rod Atkinson. I was the director of the Municipal Property Registry before the world collapsed on us.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Atkinson. But...
Где я? Что это за место? Вы не знаете, что я здесь делаю? Давайте, что за
Where am
место?
I? What is this place?
You are in what I venture to call our home, our humble, hopefully temporary home. This is one of the many trailers that make up the refugee camp, and believe me, we can consider ourselves lucky to live between these four walls. Most of the inhabitants of this hellhole, excuse my crude language, have nothing more than plastic tarps and cardboard for shelter.
Wait a second. Did you say refugee camp?
Yes, of course. The Facility for Temporary Accommodation of Disaster Victims is what they called it. You know, after the army declared martial law following the catastrophe. You look a little confused, if you don't mind my saying so. Do you really not know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. I'm afraid not. Let me ask you.
Вы не знаете, что я здесь делаю?
Can you tell me what I'm doing here?
Yes, of course. I think we owe you an explanation. A few days after the Great Wave, we found you lying in a ditch near the airport. You were badly injured and unconscious. We couldn't just leave you there. Someone had already stolen your luggage and identification. It was awful. So we decided to take care of you ourselves and brought you here. You've been with us ever since. By the way, I should tell you that when we found you, your clothes were ripped to shreds, so we threw them away. The clothes you're wearing now are mine. You'll find more things in that wardrobe. If you need anything, just help yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Atkinson. But
Великая волна, о чем вы говорите? Вы сказали с нами? Здесь еще кто-то живет? Из ваших слов я понял, что вы спасли меня. Я очень признателен, мистер Эткинсон. Брина, привет! Я помню эту игру. Молчи без спойлеров. Не как некоторые, Каппа. Я многое забыла. Только знаю, что игра, не веселая. Посмотрим. Так. Сейчас пока что из того, что я поняла, произошла катастрофа. Но я так понимаю, он пока нас вводит в курс дела, что вообще произошло, потому что мы, как это типично не звучало, ничего не знаем, ничего не помним. Великая волна, о чем вы говорите?
The Great Wave? What are you talking about?
Well, what would I be talking about? That damned, excuse my language, explosion that brought ruin to all of us. The origin of this filthy new world that now seems to be our permanent reality. But do you really not remember? Do you really not remember anything about all this?
I feel a little weak and dizzy, Mr. Atkinson. Excuse me. I'm afraid I can't. I can't remember a thing.
I see. There have been many cases like yours in the camp. Try to rest and not to get too agitated. Well, there's one thing I can tell you. You can consider yourself fortunate. There's nothing nice to remember about recent times, believe me.
Сказали с нами, здесь еще кто-то живет.
You said with us. Who else lives here?
Ah, yes, of course. I still haven't properly introduced my family to you. Now is a bad time, but I promise to make proper introductions later. My wife and I sleep in the other room, and, well, little Colin sleeps with us.
Colin?
Yes, Colin is our only child. Our one ray of hope since the catastrophe. I'm going to confess something to you. Colin is the only reason my wife and I still struggle to keep going in this new world. We would have given up a long time ago if it weren't for him.
Of course. I understand. So that was your wife's voice that woke me up a few minutes ago, right?
My wife? No, that's impossible. My wife has been with me in the other room the whole time. We haven't come out of there for hours. But I'm glad you're feeling better and are fully conscious now. I guess we could say you've been reborn. And although the circumstances aren't the best, simply being alive nowadays is practically a luxury. So, welcome to our home.
Что за намеки? Что за намеки? Что? Есть тут пара личностей с шилом, видите? Про тех, кто иногда спойлерит. Наверное, на первом месте Ильнур. Но он не так часто приходит на стримы, но когда приходит, всегда спойлерит. Из ваших слов я понял, что вы спасли меня. Я очень признателен, мистер Эткинсон.
From what you've told me, I see that you've saved my life. I'm very grateful, Mr. Atkinson.
No, please. You don't have to thank us. We just did what we had to. It's our moral obligation to uphold the ethical principles of civilization in this new world. But call me Rod, please. And, well, we also did it for Colin, you see. What kind of future does he face if we accept that it's every man for himself, that no one cares about anyone else? It's a terrifying prospect, don't you think? We're just doing whatever we can to avoid that future, that's all.
Rod, Rod!
Please excuse me, but I have to leave you now.
No, wait, please. What's happening? Don't go yet.
I'm sorry, I understand that you have a lot of questions to ask me, but now isn't the time. Believe me, I promise to answer each and every one of your questions in peace and quiet later. Sorry, but I have to go.
Rod, please, quickly!
Okay, all right.
Now that you're feeling better, you can go out and take a walk around the camp. But please, be very careful out there. The world you knew before is gone. Heed my warning, don't touch anything. Don't talk to anyone. And don't get mixed up in anything.
Конечно же, мы будем все трогать, со всеми разговаривать и впутываться во все дела, которые найдем.
Great wave left us. Everything has changed so much out there.
All right. Thanks for the advice.
Ah, one more thing before I go. You've been with us for quite a while now, and we don't even know what to call you. What is your name?
My name? Michael. My name is Michael.
Very pleased to meet you, Michael. We'll talk again later, I promise.
Michael. That's what that disembodied voice called me. That must be my name. Wake up, Michael. That's all she said. Leaving me in this immense void where I can't remember anything. Great wave? New world? Refugee camp? But what the devil could have happened out there? I think it might be a good idea to go out there and take a look.
Ага. Я все пропустила, о чем они говорили. Настолько мне понравились. Это мальчик стонал. Так. Духовка. Запертая дверь. Я могу на правую кнопку мыши,
The
да,
scrap of
осмотреть?
fabric has traces of blood, sweat, and other fluids I can't even identify. If this sheet was ever white, it must have been a long time ago. A very long time ago.
А тут как в квестах на пробел подсвечивается? Да, смотрите. Так, смятая постель, смятая простыня.
A depressing sight. A damp mattress on a bed frame and dirty, rumpled sheets. This is the bed where I've been convalescing all this time.
Простыню можно взять?
Well, look at that. When I pulled back the sheet, part of it got torn on the spring sticking out of the bed frame. I hope Rod doesn't notice.
Угу.
The
Торчащая
bed frame
пружина.
under the mattress is so battered that one of the springs is turned into a very sharp protruding object. It's
Семейные
an unframed
фотографии.
snapshot, stuck directly on the wall of the room. 2 adults and a child smiling at the camera in what looks like an enormous yard. One of them is Rod, my host.
Ага, можно выйти. Запертая дверь. Так, шкаф.
The old closet Rod told me about. It's funny. With the glass on the door shattered, my reflection in the mirror is fragmented, like a photo ripped into little pieces and taped back together. Impossible. It's locked. I'm afraid my host forgot to unlock it before he left. This oil lamp
Масляная
is the room's
лампа.
only source of light. The flickering of the flame makes the room look ghostly, like in a dream. More like in a nightmare.
Никс у нас извращенец, да он и не скрывал.
I'm not going to snuff out this oil lamp. This place looks sinister enough with light.
Ага.
I can hear
Дверка.
people whispering on the other side. It's the door Rod went through after hearing those moans, the same one he made sure to bolt shut.
Ну, вряд ли она будет открыта.
It's no use. It won't open. I heard Rod bolt it from inside.
Так, а что у нас еще здесь было? Духовка и грязная
A
посуда.
pile of frying pans, plates, and dirty silverware waiting to be washed. Ugh, this place smells like a cheap, greasy spoon.
Духовка.
With the glass in the door broken and that thick coating of grease lining it, I doubt anything's been baked in this oven for a long time.
Крышка от котелка.
Nothing edible. It's only the lid of an enormous metal pan sitting on the bottom of the oven. There's a very worn old notebook hidden under the lid. The cover is practically falling off the spiral binding. It looks like someone stashed it here some time ago and then forgot about it.
Так, что у нас еще есть? Можно посмотреть, да? Тетрадка, крышка от
It's a bit
котелка.
dented. It was used to cover a very large roasting pan. In fact, it still has some traces of food stuck to it. It's an old
Тетрадка.
accounting ledger that still has a few
Ух,
blank
ё.
pages left in it. From what's written in here, it looks like someone was using it as a diary before ripping out almost all its pages and leaving it inside the oven in the trailer.
Так, а как тут листать? Никак? Или, наверное, только одна страница? Он опять говорил с дедушкой и бабушкой, моими покойными родителями. Его отлучки становятся все дольше и страшнее. Его мать слишком страдает. Мы договорились спрятать пистолет с 2 патронами в коробку из-под печенья. Господи помилуй, но когда его не станет, у нас не будет будущего. Грохот из дыры в небе все еще приводит Колина в ужас. Всевышний разорвал небо и приказал ангелам своим покарать нас через рану сию. Это слова преподобного Блейка, святой человек. Мои подчиненные, коллеги, начальство, неужели больше никто не помнит рода Эткинсона? Но мы должны быть сильными, ради мальчика. Мы не позволим великой волне стереть нас до конца. Ну, судя по всему, все. Причем я могу ее на что-то еще использовать. Так, ладно, пойдемте на улицу сходим.
Good God, what the hell happened here? Rod was right. I don't know what hit this place, but whatever it was, it struck into its very foundations, without any mercy whatsoever. What's happening now?
Вил, 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 вил. Чувак, прячься скорее. Скорее.
Yeah, you could put it that way.
Отряд очистки.
I'm Hank, but everyone calls me the Hunter.
I'm Michael. But what's going on up there?
Nothing, Mike, just routine. The cleanup brigades are taking away a sick person, a dissolved. You know how it is, just doing their job. Ironically, that house belongs to one of the camp moles. Those traitorous scumbags.
Brigades, dissolved, moles. I don't know what you're talking about. I can't remember anything.
Oh, I see, you're a blankhead. Well, you better get up to
Пустоголовый.
speed real quick if you want to survive here, Mike. Find me if you need help, dude. I can get you whatever you need. Doesn't matter where it is, how fast it runs, or where it tries to hide. That's why they call me the Hunter.
All right, I'll remember that.
Come back here! Don't take her away! Don't you know who I am? Come back here!
They shot that poor man in cold blood. But why did they do that? Hey, Hank?
Хэнк.
I'm afraid he's gone.
Боюсь, он ушел. Трейлер рода. Окно. Ой. Ё-моё. Что происходит?
But what's happening? What is this? What the hell's going on here?
Это какое-то будущее.
Good God. I think I'm starting to lose my mind.
Но учитывая, что трейлер сейчас цел, я так понимаю, это какое-то будущее. Так, трейлер
The
рода.
enormous trailer that serves as a home for Rod and his family. I find it hard to imagine that this heavy old monstrosity ever traveled on the highway.
Окно. Так. Окно.
It's hard to see clearly through all the grime on this glass. On the other side is the room where Rod and his family have locked themselves away.
Рот.
Rod seems upset and worried. What's going on in there?
Коробка из-под
From
печенья.
here, it looks like one of those metal boxes for Danish butter cookies. And judging from how worn it looks, I'd say that it's been reused over and over again.
Судя по всему, это та самая коробка из-под печенья на 2 патрона. Так, это окно, рот, жена
That's
рода.
Rod's wife. I heard her calling him from the other side of that door that just closed behind him. She looks worn out with those dark circles under her eyes. She looks like she hasn't slept in days.
Что-то какие-то глазки у него красные. Он случайно не вот такой, которых забирают.
That must be little Colin, Rod's son. He looks unwell. Was that him I heard moaning in pain inside the trailer?
Так, ну все, больше тут ничего нет. Так,
It's
пустырь.
the lot outside Rod's trailer. The ground is covered with trash, scrap metal, and broken glass. Something tells me it might not be a good idea to walk around here barefoot.
Значит, надо найти ботинки. Я могу еще сюда выйти. Дверь машины, заброшенная машина.
The half-scrap remains of a sports car that looks like a collector's item. From the style, it must have been worth a pretty penny a long, long time ago. But now, I'm afraid it's just scrap metal.
О, приходы. Приходы? Мы, походу, тоже нездоровы. От Netflix скоро выйдет сериал по Dragon Age. Что-то Netflix снимает кучу всего. Киберпанк, Dragon Age. Скоро каждая игра будет от Netflix в виде сериала. Дверь машины.
This tangle of metal was a driver's door once upon a time.
Давай откроем.
Time has left these hinges bent and rusted. There's no way I'm going to be able to break open this door with my bare hands.
Значит, надо что-то найти. Ну-ка, если мы крышкой попробуем
I don't see
открыть.
anything here that could be covered.
Нет. Это накрыть можно. Может, горящую бочку как раз-таки можно будет накрыть. Но давайте сначала все осмотрим, потом поговорим. Криповенько смотрится, когда в одной ячейке глазика, в другой ротик.
A
Лачуги.
bunch of shacks, trying valiantly to stay standing in a sea of mud and trash. I can't imagine how it must be to live in one of them.
Магазинная тележка.
A supermarket shopping cart full of plastic bags, ready to burst. This individual who looks like a bum never takes his eyes off it, and the swarm of insects fluttering around the merchandise don't either.
Ну, может, это его?
He must be one of the inhabitants of the refugee camp. What the hell has he got in that shopping cart full of junk?
Ну, наверное, лучше не лезть. Ну, в плане рукой сюда. Он наверняка скажет, куда полез. Это все мое. Горящая бочка.
Someone improvised a bonfire inside that drum. Although the smoke starts to irritate the lungs pretty quickly, it seems like the only heating system the camp inhabitants have.
Давайте поговорим.
Damn it! I managed to rip open the sole of my foot in a rusty nail.
Hey, it's not a good idea to walk around barefoot in this enormous trash heap. You won't get very far without shoes.
Yeah, thanks for the tip.
The tip is yours to keep, but if you come near my things, you're a dead man. Understood? Wait, I recognize you. Aren't you the guy Rod's been taking care of in his trailer all this time?
Yes, I am. Do you know Rod?
Of course I do. Everyone in the camp knows Rod. You owe him your life. Don't doubt that for a second. Nowadays, no one in his right mind would do what he did for you, for a total stranger.
Yes, I'm very grateful to him. But tell me, can I ask you a few questions?
Можно пару ботинок? Удачи. Ты знаешь квест Tormentum Dark Sorrow? Не знаю. Дэнни, привет. Апа, привет. Так, я слышала о чудовищном взрыве, великой волне. Что это за чертовщина?
I've been hearing about an enormous explosion. The Great Wave. What on earth are they talking about?
But what kind of question is that? Where have you been all this time? Sleeping in a cave?
Well, you could
В
say
каком-то
that.
The
смысле.
Great Wave is the reason we're confined here like animals. The entire world went to hell in a handcart that day, and we went with it.
Я видела это собственными глазами. Можете рассказать что-нибудь еще?
I've been able to see that with my own eyes. Can you tell me anything else?
Okay, I'll tell you what I know. The great wave hit us one Friday afternoon right out of the blue. I remember it perfectly because I'd just come out of an important meeting at that precise moment. I'd made a lot of money from a very fat contract. Yes, sirree, Bob. Very, very fat. First, we felt the ground quaking, as if a volcano was about to erupt right under our feet. I had to get out of my car and run. Then came the explosions. Glass broke. Buildings toppled. And then for weeks, the stench of corpses rotting in the streets. In just a few hours, that damn great wave sent us all, with our businesses, our money, and our convertibles, straight back to the Dark Ages.
The Dark Ages?
Of course! Are you surprised? In a matter of minutes, we were left with no electricity, no water, no communications. And after the initial chaos, the dissolved started to show up. And that horrible gash opened up in the sky. That stupid breach up there that no one in this hellhole has bothered to explain to us. The fact is that the remains of the old system only held up for a few weeks. And through the cracks, what you see around you started seeping in.
The new world, right?
Yes, indeed. You catch on fast. The new world was here to stay. Welcome to the future, son. Not exactly the way you pictured it, huh?
Новый мир, я так понимаю, это что-то по типу вот этой вот группировки, которые вот катаются, то есть какие-то дяди, короче, которые сейчас всем заправляют. А еще отлавливают вот этих вот. Я так понимаю, новый мир, это не имеется в виду, что ты типа вот попал в новый мир, добро пожаловать. А это именно как название. Заперты, то есть нам нельзя покидать лагерь беженцев.
Confined? Do you mean we can't leave the refugee camp?
Refugee camp. I've always found that term amusing. It seems like things on the other side of the fence work a little better. But here, look around you. Does this look like a refugee camp? It's an army detention camp, and you're a prisoner. Once you come in here, you lose everything, even your name. To them, you're nothing more than a rat, just another camp rat. You'd never be able to get through the gate, especially if you don't know anyone or don't have any contacts on the outside. Doesn't matter who you might have been before the old world collapsed. Believe me, I speak from experience. If you're just a camp rat, I'm afraid the only way out of here is feet first. I don't know if you get my meaning.
Of course I do. Thanks for your encouraging words.
You can keep the words, but come near my things and you're a dead man.
Это стрельба. Не могли бы вы объяснить, что сейчас случилось?
This shooting. Could you explain to me what just happened here?
Explain what exactly? That show the cleanup brigades put on? Someone got too chatty and ratted out a sick person, that's all. There's usually a pact of silence in the camp. No one likes to see one of their own in those ambulances. But in this case, the dissolved was a relative of one of the camp moles. Ironic, isn't it?
But they shot a man.
Yes, so they did. So what? The price of human life has gotten a lot cheaper lately. That needn't surprise anyone these days.
Вы сказали тающие?
Did you say dissolved?
Of course, the dissolved. But what the hell's wrong with you? Those people are a real plague. They're sick, and, so they say, highly
то есть они
contagious.
все-таки
Let me
переносят
give you
заразу.
a piece of advice about them. If you see one, run the other way like he was the devil himself. Even if they don't give you that deadly disease or drive you crazy with their trances, the cleanup brigades will kill you for hiding one. You saw it with your own eyes. They don't even respect their own camp moles.
Может, мои приходы и означают, что это... Я уже того заражен. Лагерный крот? Что
A
это?
camp mole? What is that exactly?
A spy, a stool pigeon. It's in the Army's interest to control the camp from inside. And so they pay some of the inhabitants to feed them information about what happens on this side of the fence. Who comes in, who goes out, who causes trouble, and, of course, who gets sick. They're scumbags, but very well-paid scumbags. And they have certain privileges that no one else in here has. Never trust a mole. They'll do anything to hang on to the favors the Army gives them in this hellhole.
Okay. I'll take your advice.
You're welcome. But stay away from the shopping cart or I'll rip your guts out. Got it?
Расскажите мне о Роди Эткинсоне.
Tell me about Rod Atkinson.
Well, I don't know him very well, but they say he's decent enough. Too decent for the times we're living in. Did you know that before coming here he was someone important? I think he worked for the government, and he still has some good contacts on the outside. But they're not good enough to get that stupid do-gooder and his family out of here.
Stupid do-gooder?
Well, you know how it is. Rod is one of those good Samaritans who think they can save the world. He has helped a lot of people in the camp, but I think he's going to run into problems. I reckon that he's too weak for these times. I don't know how long he'll be able to survive.
You said he had a son. A pretty good reason to hang on, don't you think?
Ah, yes, Colin. I haven't seen that kid running around here for some time. Do you know if he's all right?
I don't know. I still haven't seen him. His father told me about him.
Well, I'm glad he's not anywhere near me. That brat doesn't have anything better to do than to try to snoop in my shopping cart.
Well, I'll be going on my way. Good luck to you, pal.
Just be sure to stay
Да,
away
я
from my
поняла.
things.
Не надо повторять 20-30 много раз. Так. Что у нас еще? Можно дальше пойти, наверное.
No. With my foot in this condition, I wouldn't get very far. I think it would be better to go back inside the trailer and try to take care of this wound. It doesn't look too good.
Окей. Так, и что мы тут с тобой найдем? Обработать. А чем я тебе ее обработаю-то? Может, постучаться, сказать, что мне помощь нужна?
It's no use. It won't open. I heard Rod bolt it from inside.
Нет. Что тут еще? Шкафчик не открывается. Торчащая пружина.
Impossible. It's locked. I'm afraid my host forgot to unlock it before he left.
Можешь попробовать его сломать этой крышкой.
If I want to open up the closet, this isn't the way.
Лучше другим
The oil
способом.
lamp is the only source of light in this part of the trailer. Better not fool with it. I might end up in complete darkness.
Не
Better
знаю,
not.
пружина.
The squeak of the protruding bed springs scraping against this metal lid would grate on my nerves. Use this here? How?
Я не знаю. Давай вот этой тканью
The
перемотаем.
mattress still shows the imprint of my body. I must have been lying on it much longer than I thought.
Он сам сказал, что надо вернуться в трейлер и обработать. А чем? У нас тут ничего и нету. Не
I just
тетрадкой
don't
же
see it.
открывать.
It's difficult to find a different use for this notebook, other than writing in it.
Можно использовать только как запись. Ну-ка.
I doubt he needs this notebook. He's already got a shopping cart overflowing with junk.
Может, все-таки надо попросить обувь? Хотя не думаю, что он согласится. Можно еще о чем-то поговорить?
Can I ask you a few questions?
I'll answer anything you want, as long as you don't get near my stuff.
Все, что вам... Ну, это те же самые вопросы. Вот это вообще сереньким светится. Не могли бы вы еще раз объяснить насчет этой стрельбы? Вы можете рассказать все, что вам известно о Великой Волне?
Well,
Я так понимаю, что
I'll
я
be
все
going
уже
on my way.
спросила.
Good luck to you, pal.
Just be sure to stay away from my things.
Что тогда еще тут есть? Ну, наверное, надо все-таки потрогать.
Hey, you! Don't even think of putting your paws on that shopping cart. Stay away from my stuff, or I swear I'll rip your guts out with my bare hands.
Okay, calm down. I won't touch anything.
Так, а если я попробую вот так вот
Let's
сделать?
see. I could swear that the lid is just the right size for this drum. Perfect.
Damn it! What's going on? This damn shithole is going to be the end of us.
I'll have to do this quickly, before this man stops coughing. Well, let's see what we
This
have here.
filthy shithole is going to be the death of us.
I don't see anything but rotten food, tattered clothes, and trash. Wait a minute. It seems like there's also a small billfold with a bunch of credit cards.
They mean to kill us all.
What the hell is this
That's
guy
what
doing
they
with so
want.
much plastic money?
А зачем тебе пластиковая кредитка? Машину вскрыть?
Impossible. I think I'm going to need more brute force and ingenuity if I
This
want to open up that
filthy
rusted door.
shithole is going
Шкаф
to be
можно
the
открыть.
death of us.
Да? У меня пока не особо
Let's see if
много
I can do
предметов
this.
и не особо много действий.
Good. The mechanism gave way on the first try, but the card is trashed. For my sake, I hope that guy outside never finds out about this.
Так, зачем я его закрыла? Давай ты отойдешь. Во, наволочка. Старая обувь, бутылка виски.
The label says single malt Scotch whiskey, and the seal on the cap is still intact.
Забираем.
A
Наволочка.
clean iron pillowcase. Nothing like the grimy sheets on the bed I've been lying in all this time.
Забираем. Старая обувь.
At first glance, I'd say those old loafers are too big for me, but Rod offered me any clothes I might need, and I don't see anything else around here.
Все забираем.
Not just yet. I'm grateful to Rod for his hospitality, but these old shoes don't look very clean. It won't take more than a few hours for the wound on my foot to turn really ugly. And the last thing I need now is a serious infection.
Так, ну давай. Получается, нам надо наволочку с
What
виски.
for? I'd only end up with an enormous pillowcase soaked in liquor.
Так, можно наволочку, а пружину разорвать.
Okay, let's see how well this protruding bed spring can cut.
Хорошо. Бинты.
I'll use a little of what's in the bottle to soak the bandages.
Так. И теперь на обувь.
Here goes. I'll use the bandages on my foot. I hope the alcohol is enough to keep it from getting infected. Let's pray this improvised remedy doesn't lead to a delightful case of gangrene.
What bastard put a lid on the drum? You're trying to suffocate me, you bunch of assholes!
I think that guy out there just discovered the reason for his sudden coughing fit.
Some coward in this shithole wanted to suffocate me! Me! Who was it? Who was it? Come back here so I can give you back your lid, you son of a bitch!
Ау.
Did you hear that noise, Rod? What's going on out there?
I don't know. I'll go have a look. I
Сейчас
think it's
выйдет.
that poor drunk who's always hanging around the trailer. He's kicking up a fuss again. It's a good thing poor Colin can't hear his insults.
Don't ever say anything like that again, Rod.
I'm sorry, honey. I wasn't thinking.
Смотрите-ка. Не оставили дверку открытой. Так, а мы можем сохраниться? Да, кстати, можем сохраниться. Ой-ой-ой. Можно все поудалять, да? Короче, сохранюсь вот, вот в это окошко. Слишком много там всего занято. Так, давайте посмотрим.
What are you doing here? Get out of here! You've no business being in this room!
Rod, I'm sorry. But what's going on?
Get out of here, Michael! You didn't see anything, understood? Out! Out! Excuse my outburst, Michael. I shouldn't have behaved that way. It's not like me. But this new world brings out the worst in all of us. It's just that I can't stand to see Colin suffer this way. So for your own good, please, stay away from this room.
Away? Why?
It's no use trying to hide it. You're bound to find out sooner or later. Colin is very sick, and the authorities claim his illness is highly contagious.
Highly contagious? Is he one of the dissolved?
Michael! I won't let anyone use that word in my house! Yes, Colin caught that damn disease.
В чем именно заключается заболевание? Спойлеры. Какие спойлеры? Где спойлеры? Так, ладно, не читаю чатик выше. В чем именно заключается заболевание?
What exactly does the disease consist of?
I don't know, Michael. No one really does. The only news is what the army brings us. They say the disease is highly contagious, and it's our duty to turn over all victims to the cleanup brigades. But no one has ever come back after being carried off in one of those ambulances. No one. So we can't let them take Colin, do you understand?
Yes, of course I understand.
They say that all the victims are condemned, that there's no salvation for anyone, that at the end of their suffering and their trances lies certain death. I think that even the army is afraid of the victims. Really strange things happen around them, Michael. Things you wouldn't believe.
Что происходит вокруг зараженных
What
болезнью?
things happen around people infected with the disease?
Strange things with no possible explanation. In their trances, they go places, Michael. They bring back information. They know things. They talk to people who are no longer with us. And we've been living like this for weeks. The things that are happening around Colin are getting more and more confusing and hard to bear.
Talking to the dead? Jesus. This man's nerves are shot from the exhaustion and stress.
Ну, короче говоря, мы зараженные. Осталось только пойти и сказать, что мы зараженные, чтобы нас отсюда выпустили. Все просто. Как Колин заразился?
But how did Colin get infected?
We don't know. No one knows how the disease is spread. The only thing we know is that the disease appeared after the catastrophe and that it's spreading like wildfire.
So the Great Wave brought the dissolved with it?
Yes, but don't use that word again. Not in this house, anyway. It's so cruel and disrespectful. In effect, that's the only thing we know for sure about all this insanity. The Great Wave took everything from us and left us with this epidemic.
What's happening to Colin is terrible. If only there was something I could do.
Well, Michael, you can help us. I'm convinced that our finding you was no coincidence. You've got to help us.
То, что я сохранение показала. Ну, они там старые, вы видели, 4-летней давности, 18-19 год. Я вообще ничего не помню оттуда. Даже просто посмотрев на них. Но вы сами сказали, что больные обречены. Что я могу сделать? Это рискованное предприятие, я видела эти расстрелы. К тому же можно заразиться. Я думаю, что мы уже заражены, это во-первых. А во-вторых, непонятно, эпидемия ли это. И вообще болезнь ли это. Типа, может, их просто, типа, отлавливают и вот таким образом предсказывают будущее, просят, ну, типа, используют их в своих целях, таких людей, раз они там что-то путешествовать могут в каких-то там миры, и там, короче, вы поняли. Что я могу
But you said
сделать?
yourself that all the victims are condemned. What can I do?
No, all is not lost. In the camp, there are rumors of a cure. It seems that in the city, on the other side of the fence, the
Чё-то мне
victims
кажется,
have
это все
access
фигня про
to a
лекарства.
drug. But we can't get it here. And my contacts out there, well, let's just say they can't do anything to help.
Значит, есть лекарство.
So there's a drug that can cure them.
Yes, but they say that producing it takes a long time and is very expensive. And so it's reserved for city dwellers who can afford to pay for it. Get us that drug, Michael. I beg of you, please. Colin's time is running out.
Это ты попросил, нормально. Так, там есть лекарство. Приди,
Getting involved looks
пойди,
dangerous.
принеси нам.
I saw that shooting out there. There's also the possibility of infection.
Infection? Are you afraid for your life, Michael? Without our help, you'd be dead right now. Dead. Don't forget that. What's more, I could help you in return. I could help you get back what you lost. Don't you see?
Give me back what I lost? But you hardly know me, Rod.
I know the essential part, Michael. I know that you're a blankhead.
Blankhead? What the devil does that mean?
A blankhead is a person with no memories, who can't remember anything. It seems that the Great Wave had an enormous neurological impact on certain people, Michael. You're not the only one, or even the worst case. There are people who even forgot how to talk and how to walk after the explosion. Some ended up dying of starvation. They forgot what food looked like, how to chew it, even that eating was a necessity. You can consider yourself lucky. You still remember how to keep yourself alive. And that's the important thing. The natural recovery process is slow. It can take months, if at all. Listen to me, Michael. A man without memories is just a shadow. Or even worse, he's nobody. I still have some contacts out there. I was an important man in the municipal government. I could trace your name, your data in public records, your fingerprints. I could restore your whole life in the blink of an eye. But please, help us.
I'm grateful for your help, Rod, and for everything you people have done for me. But
Listen to me, Michael. We know that it's possible that our son is condemned to die. In fact, my wife and I have everything prepared for when he leaves us. Our child is the only thing that keeps us holding on in the new world. Nothing would have any meaning for us without him. So if there is even the slightest chance of saving him, we are prepared to do whatever it takes. Please, Michael, help us. For God's sake, listen to him. He's just a child.
Rod, come in here, quickly!
Bring us that cure, and we'll help you get your life back. Colin is our only hope in this new world. Help us save our future, and I'll give you back your past. I promise you. Goodbye, Michael.
no, Rod, wait. Bring a drug?
Кто-то...
Is he out of his mind? That man wants me to put his son's life in my hands? I can barely remember who I am. When I probably wouldn't last more than a few hours out there. But Rod was right. A man without a past is nothing more than a shadow. He offered to help me get my life back, my memories. So if I want answers, I have only one possible course of action: to get that drug.
Ты уверен, что тебе нужно это прошлое? Может, будем жить настоящим? Построим новые воспоминания.
Wait a minute. Before leaving, I should write down everything important I find out in this notebook. It might come in
это
handy
дневник наш.
if, as Rod says, I'm one of the blankheads the Great Wave left in its wake.
Так. Вот, теперь можно листать. Рот пообещал мне вернуть воспоминания в обмен на лекарства для тающих. И все. Так, крышку он вот сюда откинул. Ну, пойдем. Палатки.
A quick glance at these tents is enough to make you realize how forsaken these poor people are, confined against their will inside the camp.
Можем сюда пройти, сюда. Давайте сначала осмотримся. Ограда из колючей проволоки. Ух, ё-моё.
Damn it! What's going on? It's amazing. Everything's changing again. Everything. Everything is mutating, and I haven't even moved. I don't understand. I don't understand anything.
Просто болен, не переживай, я все поняла уже. Ограда из колючей
It's the
проволоки.
enormous fence around the perimeter of the camp, with surveillance from the towers and on the ground. This barbed wire fence intensifies the feeling of claustrophobia in here, making it even more suffocating. In the
Горизонт.
distance, you can see the skyline of the city. It doesn't seem that far away, from what people say. Things work somewhat better there. Could that be true?
Ограда... Это то же самое?
It looms there at the edge of the
Наверное,
camp,
то же самое.
like an impenetrable wall. Has anyone ever tried to escape this rat's nest?
Кто-нибудь пытался сбежать? Ну, наверное, пытался, учитывая, как они тут просто отстреливают всех. Я думаю, что также отстреливают и бегунов. Так, каменный дом.
Although it looks hastily and shoddily built, it's surprising to see a brick-and-mortar building amid all these shacks in the refugee camp. No doubt this must belong to someone important, or with very good contacts in here.
Так, ну, давайте по кругу. Сначала сюда. Одинокий обитатель. Бочки, можно зайти, светильник, кирпичный дом. Так, давайте сначала все осмотрим, потом поговорим, потом внутрь зайдем. Бочки.
Dozens of stored drums stacked chaotically. What the devil could be in them? And who might want to keep them here?
Свет все не так сказочно. В каком смысле сказочно? Я не считаю, что сказочно. Светильник.
This bright light leaves no doubt about where the entrance to the building is. There are some insects fluttering around it that end up getting scorched by the heat and dropping dead.
Кирпичный дом.
Another brick-and-mortar building. That's the second one I've seen inside the camp. These structures stand out like mansions in the misery that dominates this place. Its owner must be someone important.
Ряд
Someone
бочек.
placed a bunch of those rusty drums up against the wall. Ugh. They smell like liquor and industrial oil. Oh, Jesus. The cocktail of odors is nauseating.
Ну-ка, это все одно? Одно. Еще бочки.
Dented, dirty, and in pretty bad shape. In this corner of the camp, there are drums stored everywhere you look.
Электрический кабель.
It's a thick cable that runs along that building's roof, but I can't see it very well from here. It's too high.
Так, я могу
Okay,
сдвинуть, наверное,
here
бочки.
goes. It's impossible
Нет.
to budge these drums at all. I don't know what they contain, but whatever it is, it weighs a ton.
Надолго меня не хватило.
Someone placed a bunch of those rusty drums. Ugh.
Так, они
Ты-
пахнут
jeez.
алкоголем, это уже он говорил. Это не осматривается. Так, получается, все, да? Одинокий обитатель.
Another camp inhabitant. He seems quite elderly. What's he doing here all by himself? Hello.
Hello, son. Would you like to get a little closer to the fire?
Thanks, mister. This is a rather isolated part of the camp. What are you doing here?
Well, I'm waiting. That's all. Just waiting.
Ну, ты говорила, что тех, кого забирают, что тех людей забирают, чтобы читать будущее. Поверь, это еще сказка для такого апокалипсиса. Ну, так я же просто, как сказать, предполагаю. То есть нам же пока ничего не сказали толкового, что, где, зачем. Просто забирают и все. Кто препятствует, чтобы забрали, убивают на месте. Все. Вы все ждете? А чего именно?
You're waiting. And what is it you're waiting for exactly?
Nothing in particular. The usual. For the fire to go out, for sunrise, for it to get cold again. I'm waiting for something to change, or for everything to stay as it is. I'm just waiting. You're too young to understand.
Начинает холодать. А где ваша палатка или трейлер?
It's starting to get cold. Where's your tent? Or your trailer?
Yes, I had a tent once. They issued me one when I decided to enter the refugee camp after the Great Wave. A trailer was out of the question. They went to the families with the best contacts. Ah, you know how it is. Even in purgatory, some people are more equal than others.
Вы сказали, что добровольно пришли в лагерь, значит, люди не загонялись сюда насильно.
You say that you decided to enter the camp. Does that mean that people weren't forced to come here?
Oh, no. Of course not. Why would they have to force us? The catastrophe hit the city hard. Those of us who had lost our homes were invited to come here. In principle, it was temporary, just until the authorities got the situation under control and started rebuilding. We used to have food, water, and a place to sleep.
But now it's more like a prison camp than a refugee center. What happened?
I don't really know. I guess something went wrong. The new housing they promised us never got built. And in the end, the army ceased control of the camp. The food ran out, and then the water supply. Nobody bothered to replace them. Seems like our lives didn't matter anymore.
I see.
In time, things in here started to get very ugly. There were riots, uprisings, and the army decided to close the gates of the camp without any notice. One day they decided that no one could enter or leave here. Well, actually, people still could. Enter, that is. Now, this is where anyone who gets in the way in the city ends up. Or anyone they don't know what to do with.
So, this has turned into something like a concentration camp.
That's right, son. That's exactly what it is. You know, it's funny. I remember when my father told us about the war in Europe, about all the persecution, deportations, those overcrowded cattle cars. That all sounded to us like an old movie, an old horror movie. And look at us now. I guess some things never change. They just stop being visible for long enough for us to forget about them.
А где теперь ваша походная палатка?
And where's your tent now?
It was stolen from me a while back. They fetch a good price on the black market now.
Stolen? But how could anyone...
You seem to be new in the camp, am I right? These things happen nowadays. It's best to take things as they come. The reality of the new world is very simple, son. The soldiers and the moles do whatever they like on this side of the fence, and the hunter and his men run the black market and all the dirty rackets. I suggest you memorize all this.
The hunter? I've exchanged a few words with him, but I hardly know him. Yes. The man who protected me during all the shooting. He seems like someone with good connections and some answers. Could he know anything about the drug for treating the dissolved? Do you know where I can find him?
You can find him in those barracks at the back. That's his... well, let's say it's his logistics office. Now, the hunter is very dangerous. Watch your step around him and his men. I happened to meet his father when he was young. He was a violent, degenerate son of a bitch. A real asshole. And I'm afraid his son has followed in his footsteps.
Говорим о чем-нибудь другом.
Let's talk about something else.
Скажите, можно ли как-нибудь выбраться из лагеря?
So tell me, is there any way to get out of the camp?
I'm sorry, son. The only way to get out of this camp is to know someone important who can pull strings for you. Or to become a camp mole. Those traitorous scumbags have gate passes.
I see.
I'm not surprised you want to get out of this shithole. You've no doubt got something to do or someone to find out there. Well, they say things are better in the city, that there's order and that things are starting to function again. But who knows? Well, at least they have Reverend Blake and the consolation of Suicide Park.
Парк самоубийц? Что это? Что у вас там случилось? Молчать о своих предположениях? Вот, Брину прогнали. Брина, вернись, я все прощу. Нет никакой дискриминации, сороконожка. Можете предполагать, можете. Так. Парк самоубийц.
Suicide Park? What's that?
Just a song that drifts into the refugee camp from the other side of the fence now and then. And the first dark stars come out to hang from the sky. We could sit and count them together, you and I, when the sun departs from Suicide Park. I'm sure you still have some hopes, some dreams. I'm afraid you're just too young to understand it.
Кто такой преподобный Блейк?
Who's Reverend Blake?
He's a preacher who sometimes comes from the city to bring us a little comfort. Now, some people make jokes about him, but many of us believe that he's a prophet. You should hear him speak sometime. His words etch themselves deeply into your soul. That's why he has so many followers inside and outside the camp.
Насколько мощный удар нанесла Великая Волна? Какова ситуация за городом?
And what was the extent of the Great Wave's impact? How are things beyond the city?
Truth is, I couldn't tell you. In the first days, the chaos was so overwhelming that no one worried about anything beyond their own backyard. We victims were disoriented, cut off from the world. Then I came into the camp, and news from far-off places doesn't reach this prison. I'm afraid you'd have to leave here to get the answer to that question.
Ну, я так понимаю, все. Мне пора. Приятного ожидания,
I
мистер.
should be going on my way. Have a pleasant wait, mister.
Я так понимаю, здесь у нас живет охотник. Нет, это какой-то бар. И песенки, за которые могут прилететь. Пустые пивные
It's a bunch
банки.
of open beer cans, dented and empty. I'm not sure why, but I find the smell of stale alcohol they give off distasteful, like all the other odors in this place.
Возьмем. Взяли. Стойка.
Stain from spilled drinks, rings from glasses and rust. The bartender looks out from the other side, seemingly bored and apathetic.
Бармен. Полка с бутылками. Громкоговоритель.
That's the background music for the establishment. The speaker is cranking out a dreary, droning country song, and it's getting on my nerves. Most of these bottles have been opened, and they look like they've been reused hundreds of times. They're filled with a grayish liquid with a rather unappetizing appearance.
Ну вот это и есть охотник. Понятно. Ой, а чё у меня? Ага. Вот. Как-то так. Добро пожаловать на канал. Привет. В этой игре сверхконцентрация мрачняка. Мрачняк на негативе пипецом погоняет. Пипецом. Что значит пипецом? Тему. С первым предложением залетело, хоть в цитаты добавляй. Добавляй, Никсон, у нас нет цитатов. Так, бармен.
He's behind the bar, and he serves the drinks. Now, I don't claim to be clairvoyant, but I'd swear this guy is the owner of the place. The
Клиенты.
cheerful patrons of the bar. I suppose the gray substance one of them is sipping is liquor, but I can't tell what kind. I don't think he can either. The cheerful patrons of the bar. I suppose the gray substance one of them is sipping is liquor, but I can't tell what kind. I don't think he can
Понятно, то
either.
же самое. Так, капот. А, это капот от машины.
Someone
тут.
went to all the trouble of taking the hood off an old Corvette and dragging it in here, just to turn it into a tacky bar table. Hey, that's the guy I was talking to during the shooting by the cleanup brigades. What did he say his name was? The Hunter?
Хантер. Так, стул.
This old metal stool serves as a table. The truth is that its unfortunate appearance doesn't exactly invite you to sit on it.
Так, ну давайте поговорим с кем-нибудь. Ну давайте сначала с барменом.
What are you having, pal?
Nope, I'm afraid I don't have any cash on me.
That's no problem here. We don't only accept cash, we also barter. We accept anything of value. That excludes checks, naturally.
Что-то какой-то диалог был, как будто мы уже знакомы с ним. Или уже разговаривали до этого. Занятное место. Ты владелец?
Interesting place. Are you the owner?
No, pal, don't get the wrong idea. I only work here. This belongs to the Hunter, like every other business enterprise here inside the camp. He's the head honcho.
I see.
Что
What do you
продаете?
sell here?
Anything you can eat or drink. Anything that fits into a box or a bottle. For other types of goods, talk to the Hunter directly. What do you need? Liquor, tobacco, food?
At the moment, I don't need anything like that, but I'll keep it in mind. Thank you.
Не мускат. Вообще-то это Муська в честь кошки, только никому не говорите. Муська. А почему это в конце вот это вот ГХ? Потому что Мускаг. Ну ладно, хорошо, буду звать Муськой. Так, я видел бочки, составленные у входа в здание. Чисто из любопытства, что в них?
I saw a bunch of barrels stacked up at the entrance to the building. Just out of curiosity, what's in them?
Nothing. Just some things that need to be stored. Take my advice, pal. Keep your nose out of the Hunter's business if you want to keep it on your face.
Okay, it was just curiosity.
Может, я буду на него работать. Что ты так сразу негативишь? Что-то красненькое мигает. Охотник.
Mike, my friend, it's nice to see you again.
Френд? Мы уже друзья?
Hi.
Guys, this is my friend Mike. He's new around here. We met at one of the cleanup brigade's latest parties. Isn't that right, dude? Pull up a seat and have a drink. We like to be hospitable to newcomers.
Something tells me I shouldn't accept that drink. That it's not a good idea. Not anymore. No thanks. I don't drink.
Okay, Mike, whatever you say. But I'm not accustomed to people turning down a drink. At least, not in my own establishment, in front of my men. So tell me, what brings you here?
Может, он и есть вот эта вот крыска, или как там их, крот называли. Кто докладывает туда, что здесь происходит, если он здесь главный, владеет всеми заведениями. Вообще, я так понимаю, шарит за все и всех. Один мой друг приболел. Я хочу знать, есть ли лекарство, которое может помочь тающему, и как его достать. Давайте начнем. Почему тебя зовут Охотник?
Tell me, why do they call you the Hunter?
That's a good question, Mike. You know my real name is Hank, but no one calls me that anymore. Now I'm the Hunter, because I can find you what you want, when you want it. You know, it doesn't matter where it is, how fast it runs, or where it tries to hide. The new world gave me a new name and a new life.
A new life?
Yeah, a new life. It's hard to explain, dude. But I think in a way, you and I are similar, Mike. That's why I like you. Let me explain it to you. It was the Great Wave. The Great Wave that changed and purified everything. The old world was a messy, complicated, and unjust place. After the Great Wave,
everything became crystal clear. When all the old laws disappeared, only one rule remained. You gotta do what you gotta do. It's that simple. And that's the universal law that puts each of us in our rightful place. Do you follow me?
You gotta do what you gotta do. Sounds like a handy way to justify anything and everything, even the indefensible. Yes, Hank. I follow you perfectly.
I knew it. I knew you'd get it straight off, Mike. But don't call me Hank. I told you, that guy died in the Great Wave.
Один мой друг приболел.
A friend of mine is in a bad way. I need to know if there's a drug that can help the dissolved, and how to get it.
A friend of yours, huh? Friendship is important, Mike.
Ау.
The camp is a very tough place, and you have to be loyal to your people. I like your gesture. Do I know this person?
No, I don't think so.
I see. Well, look, dude, I've heard something about that cure, but I don't know if it's true or just a camp legend. Sometimes desperation leads to wishful thinking. You know how it is. But if that drug exists, I can think of only one place you'd be able to find it.
Where?
There's a small medical center on the outskirts of the city. It's more like a pharmaceutical warehouse, but it's heavily guarded. I'd bet my bottom dollar that's where they keep anything that valuable. Maybe you should take a look at that building, if you can find a way out of this hellhole, that is. And I can't help you with that. You know I like you, dude. Let me give you a piece of advice. Stay away from those untouchables. From the dissolved. They won't bring you anything but trouble.
Что еще можешь рассказать о тающих?
What more can you tell me about the dissolved?
Only what the authorities say. And that's all I need to know. The disease is fatal. And they say you can catch it just by breathing next to one of those untouchables. That's why they have to get rid of them as soon as possible. Have you ever seen one of those poor suckers die, dude?
No, I haven't.
Well, you're lucky, Mike. I don't recommend it. It's a horrible spectacle. It goes something like this. After weeks of drifting in and out of their trances, something happens inside their bodies. Something fails all of a sudden. The pain makes them kick and scream like pigs in a slaughterhouse. Then their flesh begins to melt, to become liquid. Do you understand, Mike? That's why they gave it that name. They literally dissolve.
But that's terrible. Those poor people.
On the contrary, dude, those bastards spread the plague. It's them or us. Understand? Anyway, you know how it works. The cleanup brigades tend to be more than generous with responsible citizens who help them with their mission of tracking down the dissolved.
Не могу достать мне это лекарство.
And can't you get hold of some of that drug for me?
I don't get mixed up in things like that, dude. The army has made it very clear. Helping or hiding the dissolved will be severely punished. Not even collaborators are free from reprisals. You saw what happened to that mole. Those pigs are ruthless about this.
What are you talking about, those pigs?
That's camp slang. The soldiers, the cleanup brigades. The inhabitants of this shithole call anyone with a rifle and a uniform a pig. They can blow your head off right on the spot with impunity.
Мне
I
пора.
should be going now.
Fine, Mike. You're welcome anytime. Remember, dude, here we can get you whatever you need. No questions asked.
Ну, по сути, ты не можешь достать мне то, что мне нужно. Вот. Так. Что у нас еще тут есть? С этим я поговорить не могу, с этим я поговорила. Пойдемте тогда в другую сторону сходим. Ну или давайте вот по кругу, как я и хотела. Мне предлагают выйти. Выйти сюда, сюда. Ау.
Oh no. Here comes that sensation again. It's like floating in a dense liquid, while everything around me is transformed. Good God. think I'm starting to lose my mind.
Это точно. Оу, лужа крови. Можно сюда сходить.
A pool of blood mixed with mud marks the spot where that man, the mole, was shot. It gives me the chills. They may be able to kill with impunity, but it's still the scene of a crime.
Я могу вот сюда пройти.
Where do you think you're going, Rat? No one leaves here without a pass, unless it's with a bullet between the eyes.
Yes, and we can take care of that for you if you don't get away from that gate. Come on, scumbag, stick your neck out. We could use a little entertainment tonight.
What's the matter, Rat? Cat got your tongue?
I think it's best if I get away from the gate. I'm afraid their threats are deadly serious. Sorry, guys. I'm not looking for trouble.
Now that's what I like to hear. That's a good boy.
Так, ладно. Короче, это получается, я смогу пойти вот сюда, смогу пойти туда и смогу пойти куда-то сюда. Но только после того, как я смогу отсюда выбраться. Так, колючая проволока.
The barbed wire surrounding the camp is incredibly tangled, and the barbs look like they'd tear you to pieces. It looks like the army wanted to make it very difficult for anyone who might get the bright idea of trying to escape.
Грунтовая дорога.
From here I can see how the road leading out of the refugee camp splits into 3 paths. One leads to a kind of depression in the ground, another leads to a graded water outlet, and the third disappears into the distance, beyond the last hill. Could that be the road leading to the city?
Шлагбаум.
This is the barrier that vehicles pass through to get in and out of the camp. The soldiers keep it lowered and extremely well guarded.
Каменная
Dozens
стена.
of bullet marks and some trails of fresh blood dripping down the wall. Oh my god. This corner of the camp stinks of gunpowder.
Часовые. Высохшее русло.
It's difficult to make out anything from here, but it seems like a dry riverbed crosses the dirt road leading into the camp.
Будка часового. Мотоцикл. Кофр. Так,
It's the
часовые.
trio of soldiers who guard the camp. And if their expressions are anything to go by, they're as violent and unyielding as the barbed wire surrounding this dump.
Будка
A small
часового.
military sentry box with no door, so narrow that the soldier on duty can hardly turn around inside. Maybe
Кoffer.
this leather saddlebag contains tools for motorcycle maintenance, like well, I'm sure I could drive it. I have no idea how these machines work. Clean and well maintained. This bike is without a doubt the best looking object in the entire refugee camp. Although, that's not saying much considering the disastrous condition of everything around me.
Так, давайте сохранимся, а то вдруг они меня за какую-нибудь фразу стукнут. Какие-то
I don't mean to bother
недоброжелатели.
you, but could I ask you a few questions?
Hey, it seems like we have a nosy rat in the camp.
Вы сказали, из лагеря выпускают только по пропуску. Где его получить?
You say that I can only get out of the camp with a pass. Where can I get one?
Only soldiers and moles have passes for entering and leaving the camp. And you don't look like either one of those things. So get lost.
Well, sometimes we can make an exception, but only if the person who wants to leave is generous enough. And why exactly do you want to leave the refugee camp? What did you lose on the other side of the fence, rat?
У меня есть на то причины, они вас не
I have my
касаются.
reasons, and I don't think they're any of your business.
What's your tongue, you son of a bitch? If you want to hold on to it.
Don't push your luck. We could blow your head off right here, rat. Try showing a little more respect.
Я ищу помощь для сына моего друга, вот и все.
I just want to help a friend's kid, that's all.
Heartwarming. Really heartwarming. I got an idea. Why don't you bring your friend and his kid with you? We'd be happy to let all 3 of you leave.
Really?
Of course, Rat. We love target practice. I promise to give you guys a running start.
Yeah, we'll give you a few yards start. That would make it more fun.
I get the impression I'm talking to 2 armed psychopaths. Unbelievable. Who put these guys in charge of guarding the camp? I'm afraid it doesn't seem like such a good idea to me anymore. but thanks for the suggestion.
Я слышал, что в городе дела не так плохи. Это правда?
So, I've heard things are better in the city. Is that true?
Yeah, it could be. But that's none of your business. What do you care? If you're gonna die in this dump anyway.
Get the idea of leaving right out of your head. There's no place for rats like you on the other side of the fence. Unless you want to take a walk in Suicide Park. Do you want to become a Dark Star rat?
Now quit bothering us and get lost.
Почему вы зовете меня крысой? Кто ваш командир?
Why are you calling me rat? Who's in charge here?
Well, did you hear that? It looks like we have a new kid on the block. Let me ask you something. If you people living in this camp crawl around in garbage, build your houses out of garbage, and eat garbage, what else are we going to call you?
We're in charge here, the ones with the rifles. And that's the only rule you need to know. See all those dark stains on the wall next to the barbed wire?
Yes, I see them.
They're the guts and brains of rats like you who forgot the golden rule. We call it the Wall of Shame. We're in charge here. That's pretty easy to grasp, isn't it? But sometimes one of you forgets. And that gives us some more motivation to make you better students. So, how's your memory?
My memory? That's funny. In another context, that would be an amusing question, but there's nothing amusing about these animals. My memory works well enough to remember who's in charge here. Don't worry.
You catch on fast, right? That's a good thing. Now get out of here.
Классный мотоцикл.
Nice motorcycle.
It is, isn't it? It's ours. So get anywhere near it, and you'll end up against that wall.
You don't have the authority to touch it, or point at it, or even look at it.
Dare to touch it with your grubby hands, and you're a dead man. I guarantee it. Got it?
Okay, understood. I won't bother you anymore.
Get lost.
Окей. Так, давайте сохранимся и попробуем потрогать мотоцикл. Не уверена, что разрешат.
Hey, Rat, I don't think that motorcycle belongs to you. Or at least I don't remember seeing your name on it anywhere. Am I mistaken?
Are you one of those people who have no respect for private property, bastard? Do you know what we do in this camp with people like you?
I'm beginning to get an idea. I was just curious about this thing. I'm stepping away.
А если я потрогаю сам мотоцикл?
Hey, Rat, I don't think that motorcycle...
Ну, то же самое.
Are you one of those people who...
I'm beginning to get... I'm stepping...
В общем, понятно. Надо сначала их отвлекать. Потом уже что-то делать. Так, сюда я не могу пройти. А, я же могла еще вот сюда сходить. Точно. Женщина с сигаретой.
Judging by its location, this closed door should lead into one of the bedrooms in this house. I can hear something from the other side. Sounds like howls or cries.
Беспорядок.
Clothes, knickknacks, and broken furniture. This room is full of broken, worthless junk. There's no question. This place was looted recently, and rather violently, I might add.
Тебе модеры обезумели, друг друга банят. Это нормально, сороконожка. И вообще-то у нас один главный модератор, а другой просто модератор. Так что Аппа спокойно может жаловаться на Никса. У него статус выше, скажем так. Перевернутый книжный шкаф.
Someone knocked over that enormous bookcase with all its books, and considering what it must have weighed, several people must have been involved in all this.
Опрокинутый ящик.
Nothing of interest. The floor of the room is littered with useless junk like this. But wait a minute. I think I can see something sticking out from under that piece of wood.
У меня статус премиум. Тебе вообще надо снять эту модерку.
A
Пачка
pack of
сигарет.
filter cigarettes trapped under the drawer. I guess whoever looted this house didn't see them. Or perhaps wasn't a smoker.
Я могу поднять.
Hey!
Ой.
You filthy rat! Get out of my house! Do you hear me? Out!
Что такое?
Forgive me.
We've got nothing left for you to steal. Go back to your sewer, you filthy rat. Scram.
No, you've got it all wrong. I haven't come to take anything. But wait a minute. I recognize you. Weren't you with the man they shot out there a while back?
Yes, my name is Misha, and that man is my husband.
Что случилось? За что застрелили твоего мужа?
But what happened? Why did they shoot your husband?
It's all your fault. All because of you camp rats. One of you reported him for harboring a dissolved. And those army pigs opened the fire without even caring who they were aiming at, or how hard my husband had worked for them.
So the lady the cleanup brigades took away from this house was a dissolved.
That was my mother. I'm never gonna see her again. Damn filthy rats. Are you satisfied? It was you people that brought death to this family.
Я не поняла, так она же здесь тоже живет. Она точно такая же крыса, как и я. На столько же процентов. И она говорит как бы про меня, но упоминает слово крыса, то есть она имеет в виду и себя, то есть она тоже виновата в этом. Почему все вещи на полу? Вас ограбили?
Why is everything all over the floor? Were you robbed?
They left us nothing. Those envious rats took everything. They'd been hanging around waiting for days. When they saw my husband injured and lying on the ground, they forced their way in and looted our house.
Bums? Envious rats? Who are you talking about exactly?
Them! All of them! Everyone living here in this camp envies us. They envy who we are, what we have, our privileges, our army contacts.
So they envy you because your husband is a mole. Is that right?
Don't call him that, you worm! He collaborates with the forces of law and order. That's his job.
And in this collaboration with law enforcement, wasn't turning in others of the dissolved one of your husband's duties?
Shut up! Shut up! You envy us too! You're just like the rest of the rats in this camp. And what are the three of us gonna do when my husband's gone? We'll lose everything! The house, the money, our privileges.
То есть, короче, ее муж был кротом, при этом они сами укрывали тающего. Вот это двойная игра. Пожизненный. Чатик далеко вверх улетел, Света не заметила. Чего не заметила? Я там просто немножко фильтрую, потому что вы что-то о своем болтаете. Могу потом сесть за комп и опять себе ее выдать. Капец. Что за нарушение прав? Я не понимаю. Привилегии тут какие-то вне Хогвартса. Я не понимаю, почему ее по этой логике не застрелили. Ну так ее не видели? Вот. Она же типа выбежала после того, как они уже в машину сели или что-то типа такого, то есть семейные привилегии. Каппа. И не замечай, не надо, мы о своем мальчишьем. Вы Брину выгнали, единственную девочку из чата. Мужской коллектив. Ты сказала, что вас трое. В семье еще кто-то есть?
You said the three of us. Is there someone else in the family?
We have 2 children, 2 small boys. And in this camp, envy eats away at everybody. Now we'll be outcasts. No one will help us when my husband is gone. Winter will come, our money will run out, and my children will starve. Those 2 brats wear me down with their antics. I have to chase after them all the time, but they're my children, and none of this is their fault.
Как твой мужа?
How is your husband?
He's badly injured. One of the bullets went through his stomach. He's not gonna make it. He's really suffering. He's in excruciating pain. If we at least had some morphine to ease his pain.
Каких льгот вы
What
лишаетесь?
privileges are you going to lose?
As a collaborator, my husband always received special treatment from the army. More generous rations of food and water. A little money, Clothes, a treat now and then for the kids. And now all of that's gonna end. We won't be able to leave the camp. When he dies, they'll take away his gate pass. We'll die locked up in here. Like you rats.
Did she say a gate pass? Listen, Misha, I can help you.
And just how are you gonna help us, rat?
There's something important I urgently need to get from the other side of the fence. While I'm out there, I could also get some morphine for your husband. I've heard that things are better in the city. It shouldn't be too hard for me to find some. But first I need to get out of the camp.
Like I told you, my husband has a pass that gets him through the gate. I could lend it to you, but I don't trust you. I don't trust you or any other filthy rat in this camp. Beat it! Get out of here!
If I want to get my identity back, I need that drug for the dissolved. And to get it, I have to leave the camp. I have to do whatever it takes to gain this woman's trust. No matter how unpleasant I find her screams and insults. Listen to me. I'm not just another camp rat. I'm your friend. I want to be your friend. You told me you were worried about winter coming. Let me help you. I'll bring you food. Food for your children. Then will you trust me?
I don't know. Bring me the food first. First you bring me food for my children, and then we'll talk about that pass.
I'll do it.
Так, окей. Все свелось к тому, что мы нашли пропуск, но нам нужна еда. Так, а сигареты я могу забрать?
While she's here in the room, that woman is not going to let me touch anything in this house.
Нет, ладно. Туалетный столик.
Some of the drawers have been torn out of this old dresser. Now they're torn apart and spread out all over the room.
Миша, жена крота.
It's Misha, the mole's wife. The man the cleanup brigade shot out there. A rather unpleasant woman. But she could be the key to getting out of the camp. First, I have to get some food for her children. That was the deal.
Так, мы договорились. Так, тут еще можно куда-то пройти. Вряд ли она меня туда пустит. А, что ты записал? Угу. Охотник рассказал мне о маленьком медцентре на окраине города. Но сперва нужно выбраться из лагеря. Миша одолжит мне пропуск мужа в обмен на продукты. Как много задач. А, вот, походу, и дети. Разлом в небе. Ау.
Oh no. It's starting again. It's amazing. Everything's changing. Everything.
Да тут ничего нету в итоге. Все разрушено.
Everything is mutating. And I haven't even moved. I don't understand. I don't understand anything.
Разлом.
That must be that strange phenomenon in the sky I've heard people talking about in the camp. The one that appeared just after the Great Wave. God is urging his angels to punish us through the wound. It says in the notebook I found in Rod's trailer.
Вид на лагерь беженцев.
The view from here is incredible. Until you get a look from this side, it's impossible to get an idea of the true size of the refugee camp.
Раскрашенный щит.
It's an old wooden pallet those kids painted a target on. The word pigs is scrawled in the center. A pile of stones and pebbles. That's the kids' entire arsenal. It looks like they do just fine with them.
Дети крота.
These kids must be the children of the mole and his wife. Isn't it awfully late for two kids this young to be out here by themselves? The older one can't be more than 10 or 11.
Так, это вернуться. Сторожевая вышка.
One of the many sentry towers surrounding the camp. And inside each and every one of them, there's a sniper, armed to the teeth and itching to shoot something.
Брина обиделась на одно слово. Брина на Дэма обиделась. Но я поняла, что ее Дэм выгнал, можно так сказать. Но на самом деле он-то ее не выгонял. Но она ушла. Подумала, что ее выгнали. Но ее никто не выгонял. Еретик кусает сороконожку. А что такое? То есть каждый раз, когда я буду простаивать, вот эта вот штука будет?
Like floating in a dense liquid,
верните
while
меня.
Everything around me is transformed.
То есть получается, я в каждой локации могу так постоять.
Good
и
I think I'm starting to lose my mind.
посмотреть. Да? Так, давайте поговорим с детьми.
Hi, kids.
Hello, sir.
What are you up to?
We're doing target practice. We're going to be real good shots. Someday, we'll get those pigs who shot Dad.
How awful. These children must have seen the cleanup brigades shoot their father out there. Poor kids. And how is the target practice going?
Bad at the moment. We need a real target, or we'll never be able to hit those soldiers.
Yeah, we need a better target. Hey, quit talking to that rat. He's not one of us. You know what Mom and Dad say about the people in the camp. Leave my brother alone. Get lost, rat.
Yeah, you're not one of us. Get lost, rat.
I'm not going to pick them up. I'm sure it took the kids a long time to collect all those rocks for their target practice. Besides, I bet my aim is worse than theirs.
Я целюсь хуже их. У меня есть бутылки. Хотите, вот как мишень будет?
Thank you. Now we'll really be able to become the best shots in the camp.
So now you're saying this rat isn't a rat?
No, I'm not. My name is Michael.
Hello, Michael.
Все, подружились. Скажите, почему вы хотите бросаться камнями в солдат?
So tell me, why do you want to throw rocks at those soldiers?
We have to get revenge. We're big boys now. And that's what we gotta do. Those pigs shot our dad. We heard him screaming. He's hurt real bad.
Mom said we'll never see him again.
Damn pigs! My brother and I are gonna get them. All of them.
But when they were Dad's friends, you used to say you wanted to be a soldier when you grew up.
Shut up. That was before. I wish I could reach those watchtowers with my rocks.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
That's not a bad idea. Something tells me that a little commotion along the barbed wire fence would be a good thing for everyone.
Ребята, время уже позднее. Что вы делаете на улице в такой час?
It's pretty late for kids like you. What are you doing out in the street at this hour?
Hey, we're not kids. We have to practice our marksmanship. Our mom gets real mad when we do it inside the house. It's not like we have anywhere else to go in this dump.
Nowhere else to go? So you don't go to school? Don't you have any friends from school?
There is no school. Not since the explosion.
Our mom says we don't need it anyway. We're big boys now, and someday we'll be very important people in the camp. Just like our dad. That's why we don't hang out with the other kids around here. Our parents say they're rats. They'd be a bad influence on us.
Yes, we're going to be brave and strong, like our dad. Right, Michael?
Of course you will.
Сложно. Зачем он спрашивает про школу, если, блин, он же и до этого узнал, что здесь никого не выпускают, что здесь вообще условия какие-то вот просто концлагеря. Он серьезно считает, что в концлагерях есть какие-то школы для детей? Мне нужна ваша помощь, парни.
I need your help, boys.
How can we help you, Michael?
I have to get something from inside your house. It's something I need so that I can help your father. Understand? But your mother is very agitated, and I need you to give me a hand with her. It's a mission.
What do you want us to do, Michael?
I need you to get your mother out of the house for a few minutes. Just long enough for me to go in and get what I need. Do you think you can do that?
Of course, we're big boys.
I'll owe you. I promise to give you a reward.
Okay, let's do it.
A mission.
Так, давайте сохранимся. Не знаю, правда, куда можно сохраниться. Дайте мне больше слотов для сохранения. Я не знаю, вот это можно все удалить? Ладно, оставлю себе вот эти 3. Так, а теперь я могу покидать?
I'm sure it took the kids a long time to collect all those rocks for their target practice. Besides, I bet my aim is worse than theirs.
Так, ладно. Опа. Тырим. Тырим. Все, тырим. Хорошо, сигареты.
Better not. Knowing what's inside that room, I have no interest in going in.
Я знаю, что в той комнате нет причин туда заходить. Так. То есть ты все это делал ради пачки
An
сигарет?
open pack of filter cigarettes. And it's half empty. That's funny. I can't remember whether or not I smoked before the Great Wave.
Так, ну, ладно. Судя по всему, ради сигарет.
Oh, my head.
Ой-ой-ой-ой.
What the hell's going on? Oh, God. My head feels like it's gonna explode.
Michael, please, help us. Help us. Please, remember. Beechwood Oracle.
Repent! It's the sun! Was it our fault? Did we do it? Yes! We did it!
Enough! Please! Enough!
Please, Michael, help us. Only you can do it. Remember, Beechwood Oracle.
Good God. What are these images? And that woman's voice. It's the same one that woke me up in the trailer. I'm trying. I'm trying to remember. And stop tormenting me.
I hope Rod helps me find some answers. If not, I'll go mad. Absolutely mad.
Что-то с каждым разом все хуже и хуже становится. О, сюда ролики добавляют. Прикольно. Сыновья крота выполнили задание, которое я им дал. Думаю, они заслуживают награды. Эти странные видения и тот же женский голос, что разбудил меня. Что же такое буковый оракул? Буковый оракул. Так, ну нам, получается, надо будет сейчас еще вот сюда сходить. Там, где мы не были. А, смотрите, я отсюда тоже могу быстро вот в этот дом попасть. Окей. Цистерна, генератор. Чего ты там делаешь? А, девушка в белом. Копается в мусоре в белом.
The wreck of an old ice cream truck. I don't reckon it's going anywhere without its wheels. It looks like the enormous skeleton of a beached whale. An enormous rusty tank designed to collect rainwater. Everything indicates that the Great Wave wiped out the concept of running water in one fell swoop, at least on this side of the fence.
Генератор.
This noisy electric generator seems very old and decrepit, but it works.
Зачем-то я его потрогать могу. Очередная груда металлолома и мусора.
Cars, machinery, steel, cement, even the skeleton of an old construction crane. This place is a veritable cemetery of the industrial age.
Как он это скрывать-то собирается с такими приходами? Ну, пока непонятно. Я так понимаю, он сам не понимает, что с ним происходит, и он еще не понимает, что это скрывать надо. Скорее всего, это надо скрывать. Металлолом и мусор.
A thick wall of scrap metal, debris and rusty metal surrounds this place on all four sides. It's a good 20 feet high. I can't believe it manages to stay up. She's a very young woman, practically a girl. She's playing by herself with some junk she found among the scrap metal and trash.
Игроки в
Two
покер.
guys entertaining themselves by playing poker. I suppose time passes very slowly in here. Even though there are only a few coins on the table, the game seems very intense. I'm afraid neither of them likes losing a hand.
Так, ну давайте поговорим с кем? С девушкой сначала. Давайте с девушкой.
Hello, Mr. Sleepyhead.
Excuse me? What did you call me?
You're Mr. Sleepyhead. I saw you sleeping in Colin's trailer. I'm so glad you're awake now.
Я не спал, я долго болел в их трейлере. Мистер Соня? Нет, меня не так зовут, я Майкл.
Mr. Sleepyhead? No, that's not my name. I'm Michael.
No, you're just trying to fool me. You're Mr. Sleepyhead. My name is Rose.
There's something odd about this girl's behavior. It's true that she's very young, but she talks like a little girl. Nice to meet you, Rose.
Ну, возможно, ее тоже затронула вот эта волна. То есть она забыла, что она взрослая, и помнит только, что она как маленькая девочка. Значит, ты знаешь Рода и Колина?
So, do you know Rod and Colin too?
Of course. I go over to their house a lot. Well, when they let me out of the van, that is. Rod and his wife have been very nice to me. Sometimes they let me play with Colin. We're very good friends. Are you a friend of Rod's and Colin's too, Mr. Sleepyhead?
Yes, I'm friends with them too.
Я не спал, я долго болел.
I wasn't asleep. I was sick for a long time in that trailer.
No, you weren't sick. You were sleeping. Like a big brown bear, Sir Sleepyhead. Sometimes I used to watch you sleeping in Rod's house, and you would grunt in your sleep like a bear. A great big lazy bear, Mr. Sleepyhead. But I'm glad you're awake now. I like your voice. You sound like a knight in a fairy tale. Do you want me to tell you a secret, Mr. Sleepyhead?
Of course.
I have your old clothes. The ones you were wearing when Rod and his wife found you. I have them in the van. They were going to throw them away, but they gave them to me to wrap my baby in. He'll be cold now that winter's coming.
Your baby? You have a baby, Rose?
Yes, I have a baby, but he's not with me right now. He got lost. Have you seen him? Do you know where he is? I have another secret to tell you, Mr. Sleepyhead.
Back in the van, Rose, now. Move your ass. Get in there.
Another secret? Just a minute. Wait!
Get in that van, Rose.
It's a very important secret, Mr. Sleepyhead. Something about you. Something about before the Great Wave. But first I have to find my baby. Have you seen him?
Come on, Rose, you heard me. You don't want to get us mad now, do you?
I have to go. Goodbye, Mr. Sleepyhead.
Poor girl. She's obviously mentally ill. She's just a little girl in a grown-up's body.
And you, if you want to go in there with her, you got to pay like everybody else.
Не для чего ее используют. Так, ладно, это риторический вопрос. Так, что мы там записали? Роуз знает какую-то тайну о моем прошлом до Великой войны. Откуда у нее эти сведения? И что она может знать? Эти странные видения... А, это просто перенесли с этой страницы сюда. Странно как-то пишутся эти записи. То есть сначала было вот это, потом добавилось вот это поставили раньше вот этого, так еще и раньше кат-сцены, которая была до этого. Ладно. Главное не потерять. О, монетки. Карточный столик.
These guys have improvised a card table for their poker game by putting a plank on top of 2 old tires. There's no doubt that necessity has sharpened the resourcefulness of the people who live in the camp.
Монетки.
A few lousy coins. They don't look like they're worth much. Just a few loose pennies.
Ну, вряд ли меня пустят.
Hey, where do you think you're going, pal?
Let me into the van. I just want to talk to Rose for a few minutes.
Of course, it's none of our business what you want to do with her. But if you go into the van, you gotta pay the price.
Listen, you got any money on you?
No, I don't have any on me.
Then come back when you do and quit bothering us. We have a very busy schedule, you know?
The girl said something about a secret involving me. Something from before the Great Wave. It seemed important. But what is it? Maybe it was a product of her madness. But I need to talk to her inside that van to get some answers. I'll come back with the money.
Now that sounds much better. I see that we're starting to speak the same language.
Ну, давайте поговорим с ними. Они как единое целое.
Hey, you guys. Hello again, pal. Have you come back to spend some time with Rose, or do you just enjoy wasting our time?
Пустите меня в фургон, я просто хочу пару минут поговорить с Роуз.
Let me into the van. I just want to talk to Rose for a few minutes.
Of course, it's none of our business what you want to do with her. But if you go into the van, you gotta pay the price.
Got any money on you?
No, I don't have any on me.
Then come back when you do.
ну,
We have a
это у
very
нас
busy
уже
schedule.
The
было.
girl said it seemed important. Maybe it was a product of her. I'll come back with the money.
Now that sounds much.
Это мы уже разговаривали. У бедной девушки проблемы с головой. Она строит из себя маленькую девочку. Почему вы такие бессовестные?
That poor girl's not right in the head. She acts like a little girl. How can you people be so unscrupulous?
Rose is an adult. She's earning a living. Like we're all trying to in this camp.
Mind your own business, pal.
You're abusing a poor, disturbed girl.
Us? Taking advantage of Rose? Us? You want to insult us?
We're giving her room and board. She's got nothing to complain about. But she's got to work. That's the only thing we ask of her in return. That's the way things work now.
Bring us the money, then you can get in the van with her. Hey, do us a favor and spare us all that sanctimonious crap from the old world, pal. Don't waste our time.
Это электрогенератор? Я здесь таких почти не видел.
Is that an electric generator? I've seen very few of these around here.
Yeah, in this hellhole, you can count them on the fingers of one hand.
Nowadays, you can't buy generators like this anywhere. And with the power grid all blown to hell, you can bet that one of these is worth more than your life.
We use it to light Rose's room. We like to protect our, investments. So don't get too close to it. These things are very fragile. And they have a bad habit of getting lost. Now, we wouldn't want that to happen, would we?
Мне больше не о чем с вами
I don't have
разговаривать.
anything more to discuss with you.
Так, ну давайте сохранимся. И пойдем потрогаем генератор.
What exactly do you think you're doing?
Что такое?
Hey, pal. Touch that generator and you're a dead man. My partner and I don't kid around when it comes to defending what's ours. That clear?
Extremely. I was just curious and wanted to see this relic up close. You don't have to get nervous.
Может, вам бутылочку? Не
Better
хотите?
not. If these guys are unpleasant sober, I had to imagine them drunk.
Что же будет, когда они выпьют? Сигарета?
Those goons demanded money from me in exchange for letting me into the van. They aren't going to be satisfied with just an open pack of cigarettes.
Деньги. Деньги. Где мне взять денег? Может, попробовать попросить? А ты хочешь виски?
I don't think it's a good idea to offer him a swig. The guy's already pretty unhinged.
Или сигарет?
I prefer to hold on to them. I'm sure I'll be able to find some way to use these cigarettes.
Сам выговорю. Окей. Давайте попробуем поговорить. Может, новые
Can
диалоги
I ask you a few
появились?
questions?
I'll answer anything you want, as long as you don't get near my stuff.
Пачка сигарет, бутылка виски. У тебя прям набор собирается, да, вообще? Это было... Это было...
Well.
Нет.
Just be
Так, давайте тогда сходим к этому.
I'm not going to snuff out this oil lamp. This place looks sinister enough with light.
Может, туда можно залить
No
виски?
question. This is the fastest way I can think of to unleash a
Самый
disaster.
быстрый
So no,
способ устроить
I'm not gonna do
катастрофу.
it. It's bolted
Закрыто.
from inside. I'm afraid it's not going to open.
Так, окей. Есть бутылка и сигареты. Бутылка и сигареты. Может, ему бутылку отдать?
Greetings, pal. What's this? Are you proposing a trade? Because if you are, you came to the right place. What do you need? Liquor? Cigarettes? Food?
I'm still interested in that box of food you offered me. I brought you this.
Let me see. It's a good brand of whiskey. But the bottle's been
Какая
opened,
коробка с едой?
and there's a lot missing. I'd take it, but I'd need something more.
I have this pack of cigarettes.
Fantastic. I think that's a fair price. I'll take both of them. Here you go, pal. The food package is all yours. Enjoy it in good health.
Что-то я не помню, что он говорил про какую-то еду. Ну, ладно, это мы можем этой женщине отдать. Вообще, я подумала, что раз у него здесь типа бар, виски, типа можно ему отдать, хоть и открытое, но он же может тоже разливать посетителям. Ну, короче, он еще и сигареты у меня забрал. Окей. Давай пропуск.
Here, this is what I promised you.
That's all the food you brought? This will barely feed us for 2 days.
I'm sorry, it's very complicated getting more in the camp.
А мне
I
что,
only
тебе
wanted
надо
to
было
show you that you can
обеспечить на
trust me,
полгода
that I
вперед?
can help you.
That's what all you rats in this trash heap say? But in the end, only thing you're interested in is taking advantage of my husband and me.
I've held up my part of the bargain. Isn't that proof enough? Listen, let me have that pass to get out of the camp, and I promise I'll come back with the morphine you need to ease your husband's suffering.
Ah, okay. But you better hurry. Here.
What's this? A bracelet?
It's like an ID badge. Wear it and the soldiers will recognize you. It won't just get you out of the camp. It'll also help you avoid all kinds of problems with the army once you reach the city. I'm not sure I'm doing the right thing by giving it to you. Just don't betray me, you rat. Bring me that morphine from my husband, and I promise you, I'll give you lots of money in return. Much more money than you could earn in a lifetime in this shithole.
No, that's not necessary. We never said anything about money.
I have to know you're coming back. I don't trust any of you, and I know that money is the only thing that'll make you keep your word. All you camp rats are alike. Now get out of my sight, and don't make me regret this. And don't come back without my husband's morphine. There'll be a fat wad of cash waiting for you.
Okay.
А в этом мире вообще нужны для чего деньги? Ну, кроме как в покер на них играть. Тетрадка. Так. Миша даст мне обещанное, если я найду морфий, чтобы унять боль ее мужа. Непонятно, вот то, что так вот обновляют, где новое написано, что, как. Так, давайте сохранимся. На всякий случай. Перед тем, как показать им браслет. Ну-ка.
Go through that gate, and I'll blow your head off with one shot, rat.
Do you need to get a closer look at what I have on my wrist?
Wait a minute. Look, he's got on one of those ID bracelets the camp moles wear. Those cockroaches are very useful to us in here. Lower your gun and let him leave.
You heard him. Get out of here, rat.
Вау. Я точно могу пройти? Так, куда пойдем? Ну, нам вообще прямо? Давайте тогда сходим направо-налево сначала. А, даже так. Я думала, прям отдельная локация будет. Гора отбросов.
Impossible. It's beyond my reach. The bars are keeping me from getting there. A few yards away, I can see a great mass of trash, mud, and plant matter that accumulated in there in the years since this water outlet was last cleaned. Ugh. Even from here, I can smell the stench coming from inside.
Темный туннель.
In the distance, the other end of this tunnel fades out of sight among the shadows. Where does it lead?
Прочные прутья.
Thick bars at the end of the pipe block the opening to the outside. Extremely hard and solid, I'm afraid.
Что началось? Не знаю, они, походу, друг друга не понимают. Бармен говорил про еду. Ну, значит, я либо забыла, либо отфильтровала, что у него там есть еда. А про обмен... Он что-то говорил, то, что, типа, ты что-то принес, и я не очень поняла, почему наш диалог начинается со фразы «ты что-то принес», учитывая, что я пришла к человеку, которого я не знаю. А такое чувство, как будто мы уже вот давно знакомы. Сгоревшее дерево.
It's the charred remains of a tree trunk, fighting to keep from being devoured by the enormous hole in the ground. For the moment, it's holding its own. It seems firmly rooted in the soil.
Земляной вал.
This hole in the ground is steep walls of mud and earth. The distance to the bottom is several yards. How the hell was this cesspit formed?
Тесаные камни. Ты хочешь их оттуда
It
забрать?
looks like there are some chiseled stone structures sticking out of the water. What are they? The remains of columns, perhaps? And what are they doing sunk here in the middle of nowhere? It seems like a small fragment of one of them is loose.
Вода.
I suppose the rain has been flooding the pit little by little. This water is so dark you can't even see the bottom.
Ну, давай попробуем
I
забрать.
can't reach it from here. Maybe I should find a way to get to the bottom of this enormous hole first.
Вполне логично. А у нас вообще ничего нет. Так, ну, получается, идем прямо. Так. Судя по всему, да.
So, I enter the city. It welcomes me with its most merciless
А
and
чё
bitter
так ярко?
goodness. What I see before my eyes is not what I expected. Doomsday made it here, too. Even if no one in the refugee camp knows it yet. Damn it. The city looks as bruised and battered by the catastrophe as the rest of us.
Желтый цвет хуже белого. Глава 2. Град обреченный. Получено достижение Логанс Ран. Тени, главная улица, светофор, развалины. Сюда можно сходить, горящая бочка. Так, ну давайте по порядку. Подвальное окно.
A dirty window at ground level for ventilation. It's the only opening this building's basement has to the outside. There's an advertising poster covering part of the glass at the moment.
Плакат.
It's a poster advertising an insurance company. The slogan is, "Tomorrow comes today." There's something familiar about
Завтра
this
уже
poster.
наступило.
I'd even swear that I actually remember it. For the first time since I woke up, I can say that I can remember something from my former life. Something hazy, related to this image. But what is it?
Выйти. Так.
It's a poster advertising there's something.
Так, то же самое. Окей. Его можно сорвать, да? Чпоник.
A dirty window at ground level for ventilation. It's the only opening this building's basement has to the outside.
Стена с
Dozens
плакатами.
of posters, all shredded, charred or half torn off. This wall must have been used for advertising before the Great Wave.
Замок с цепью.
A super high-tech security system is preventing access to this door. A chain and a padlock. Primitive, but effective. A chain with a padlock. Huh, but I'm no Houdini. Let's not waste any more time on this.
Ну ты просто еще со стариком не поговорил.
What the hell is that old man trying to do with that enormous pair of bolt cutters? He can hardly get his hands around them.
Ну давайте попробуем с ним поговорить, пока вот эту сторону я осмотрела полностью.
Help me, please! Help me! Don't let them find me in the street after curfew. They'll take me to the refugee camp. Help me, please! But don't make any noise. There's a patrol just round the corner.
А, даже так. То есть здесь комендантский час. Что вы от меня хотите?
But what is it you need me to do?
It's almost curfew.
А,
I need
скоро
a place to
комендантский
sleep.
час.
I need a place to hide, or they'll send me to the refugee camp. Don't you understand?
Что это за комендантский час?
What is all this about a curfew?
At curfew, the soldiers want the streets cleared. And the way they see it, if you're out on the street after curfew, it means that you've got nowhere to go. You don't have a home. You don't belong here. And that makes you a rat. And so they take you to the refugee camp. I can't go to the camp. Understand? I can't go there.
Вам нужна крыша над головой, и вам некуда пойти?
You need a roof over your head, and you don't have anywhere to go.
I used to, but it doesn't exist anymore. I owned an apartment a few blocks from here. The block was badly damaged by the Great Wave, but it was still standing.
And what happened to your home?
This morning we had to evacuate the area in a hurry. We ran out in the streets with whatever we had on. Apparently, the foundation was starting to crumble. And a few hours later, all that was left of my home was a pile of smoking rubble, with 40 years of memories buried beneath it. But I can't let them take me to the camp. I need to get into another house before the curfew. Please, help me.
Ладно, дайте мне кусачки, я попробую.
Okay, give me those bolt cutters. I'll see what I can do.
This house was empty, but the army has sealed it off. If I can just get this padlock off before curfew, I'll be safe. I need to get in here. But please, don't make too much noise. If the soldiers find us, they won't hesitate to kill us.
Impossible. I'm sorry. I can't do anything with this.
I need to get in there. I need to get in.
Я ищу одно место, что-то вроде аптечного склада. Вы ничего подобного не знаете?
I'm looking for a place. Something like a pharmaceutical warehouse. Would you know anything about that?
I don't really know. There's a small medical center just outside the city limits. I suppose you mean that, right? They built it in a hurry, just knocked it together, after the Great Wave. No one really knows what it's for, but there are vehicles going in and out of the place all the time. Whatever they're doing in there, they're keeping it very secret. Not even my daughter would tell me what goes on inside.
Did you say your daughter?
Yes, my daughter. My little Uma. She works there as a nurse. I'm afraid she left me. I suppose she got tired of living with a frail, sick old man like me. Because one day she simply left the house, and I haven't seen her since. It's been months now. I think she was right to leave me. These times are hard enough. You don't want to burn yourself with someone like me.
I'm sorry. I can't help you.
Help me, please.
Тут, мне кажется, девчонку забрали просто, чтобы она лишнего не болтала. Поэтому ее там и поселили. А туда, скорее всего, возят этих заболевших. Так, тени.
It's the silhouette of the soldiers guarding the street from around the corner. It seems like those uniformed psychopaths' rifles are projected onto each and every corner of the city.
Главная улица.
A few buildings are still standing, but most of them are propped up or about to fall down, with a handful of city dwellers in the street that look like automatons or sleepwalkers. But there's no doubt about it. I'm on the 5th Avenue of Doomsday City.
Светофор.
The traffic in this part of the city must have been especially heavy, but now you can barely hear the sound of the few army vehicles still circulating in the surrounding areas.
Вход в метро. Знак метро. Так, погоди, это можно туда куда-то пройти, да? Это обратно. Видать, можно зайти в метро. Так, горожане, горящая
It looks
бочка.
like this heating technology is not limited to the refugee camp. These bonfires are used here too, and their emissions are just as toxic here as they are there. What the hell could they be burning in them?
Спокойной ночи, сороконожка. Я перебегаю к Деми. Деми... К Демию? Деми поехал, господи. Пошел стримить. Развалины
Judging
храма.
from what remains of the stained glass windows and the murals, this pile of rubble must have been a place of worship before the Great Wave struck. Now it's one of the most badly damaged buildings in the area. There are hardly any walls still standing.
Можно зайти. Горожане.
3 people warming themselves by the fire. They stare into the flames, as if their thoughts were also burning in that rusty old drum.
Знак
A metal
метро.
sign bolted to the wall. It's the logo of the local subway system, and from what I can see, one of the edges is slightly detached.
Давай попробуем снять.
Let's see. I can try to rip it off. Nothing. I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to get it off with my hands.
Голыми руками. Так у меня пока ничего и нету.
What
Вот
was
в метро.
formerly the entrance to a subway stop is now a bunker reinforced with bricks and cement. A moldy sign says, "Subway service suspended until further notice." I imagine the train tunnels were flooded or ruined after the Great Wave.
Так, 2 места, куда мы можем сейчас ходить. Давайте сначала поговорим.
Hello, friend. You look lost. Come over by the fire.
It's dying down, but maybe it'll last until curfew.
As long as those uniformed psychopaths don't decide to end our little get-together first, of course.
Hey, look! One of those magic bracelets from the camp. They say that place is a real hellhole. A kind of living death. So, you've come back from the dead. Do they call you Lazarus?
Well, you could put it that way.
Вы что-то говорили о комендантском часе. Когда именно он начинается?
You were saying something about a curfew. What time does it start exactly?
Well, it depends on the mood of the soldiers in this zone. But you know it's time to go home when they start taking their guns out of their holsters.
Today they're extremely jumpy. I don't think it'll be long before they start insulting people and hitting them with their rifle butts.
You guys are awfully hard on them. It's just their crude way of showing us affection.
Oh, shut up. In any case, you don't have to worry. That bracelet means you don't have to hide from them. You know, that's one of the privileges that comes with it.
And you? Do you people have to hide?
We try to stay out of their way. The first rule is be home before curfew. Anyone who isn't gets dragged off to refugee camp. That's one of the strictest laws the Great Wave imposed upon this city.
Ну то есть мне не надо искать дом. А вы знаете обстановку в других местах? Доходят ли новости извне?
And do you know how things are elsewhere? Do you get news from outside?
I'm afraid not. With no communications or transportation, and with the army on every corner, we are totally cut off.
Who cares anyway? When you don't know from one day to the next if you're going to be alive, there's no time to worry about what happens 100, 1,000, or 100,000 miles away.
I understand.
Почему вы боитесь солдат? Я слышал, жизнь здесь более-менее наладилась.
Why are you afraid of the soldiers? I'd heard that things function better here.
I don't know where you heard that, friend, but whoever told you that was lying. Here, things are very ugly and getting uglier every day. Everything's in short supply: water, food, medicine.
We have a surplus of just 2 things: misery and violence. Life is cheap here, and getting cheaper all the time, especially since the army took over.
The army. I see. And what happened to the other authorities? The politicians? The laws?
Those are distant memories from the old world, my dear. Get them out of your head, because all that collapsed like a house of cards. Since the Great Wave, no one's got any plan, strategy. We're all adrift.
He's right. The most reliable thing we have left is what you see around the corner. Armed teenagers in uniform on the streets, on the rooftops, just as scared as we are, or more, and shooting anything that moves.
I think our common destiny is to finally die of starvation, of disease, or boredom. I don't know which of the 3 options I find the most cruel. Who knows? Maybe the most sensible thing is to organize a group excursion and break into Suicide Park.
Suicide Park? Don't call it that. It's not funny. That name's as stupid as that hospital they built in such a hurry next to it. It's crazy. The entire city is starving and sick, and the soldiers keep those medical facilities locked up like Fort Knox.
Но в чем смысл в медпунктах, если их нельзя использовать?
But what good is it having medical facilities if no one can use them? I don't understand.
No one does, friend, but that's the way it is. I don't know why anyone would want to go into that building, but I can assure you that they're not going to get treated for anything in there, not even for a miserable cold.
Besides, it's a real fortress. The person will be more likely to come out sick from an overdose of gunpowder and lead. You know how it is, dear. There's no cure for love or death. Hey, I like that last phrase. It would make a good opening line for a story.
Oh, will you shut up for once, Ramon? Don't pay any attention to him. In the old world, he earned his living writing stories, and he still thinks that all that waste paper might someday be useful after the Great Wave.
And in fact, it is. A good deal of that scrap paper is fueling this bonfire right now, dear. So I can consider my literary career to have been worthwhile.
Ты сказал парк... Вы сказали парк самоубийц. В лагере я про него слышал.
Did you say Suicide Park? Someone in the camp told me about that place.
And the first dark stars come out to hang from the sky. We could sit and count them together, you and I.
When the sun departs from Suicide Park. Yes, I recognize the song. But what the hell is it? Is there really a place with that name?
Yes, it exists. After the Great Wave, and when things were starting to get really ugly here, the weakest among us eased their suffering with a bullet, by overdosing, or by jumping from high places. You know how it is. All those dark stars had a hard time finding a reason to go on living.
There was a terrible wave of suicides, and there still is.
The problem is at some point a problem arose. How should I put it? A serious logistical problem. Access to drugs and firearms became practically impossible. So the easiest thing was to grab a rope or a belt and go to Suicide Park after dark.
There was a time when it was hard to find a free branch anywhere in the park.
The suicides in the area multiplied at such a rate that the army closed down the park. They said for public health reasons.
For months, the only thing blooming in that park were the corpses of the hanged. The place became more like a theme park. Lots of fun for everyone.
I told you not to make jokes about that. Don't you have any respect for anything?
Of course not. That was one of the many things I lost in the Great Wave. And one of the things I missed the least, believe me.
Thanks for the chat.
Thanks for the company, friend.
Так, но я все равно не могу пойти туда, хоть я и могу с браслетом. Так, давайте сюда сходим.
Send us a sign, Lord. We need a sign from you.
Hey, wait a minute. I know that voice.
Are we guilty of arousing your rage? Did we do it? Speak with your tongue of fire, Lord. Purge us with unrelenting justice. Send us a sign. Is this our doing? Are you punishing us for our arrogance? Unleash your thunderous voice, Lord. Release us from this intolerable uncertainty. Did we do it? Send us a sign.
I'm getting a strong impression that man's a fanatic and a little bit deranged, but his sermon made me curious. What could he mean by, we did it?
The thunderous voice of your angels through the gash.
Так, ну я так понимаю, он повторяется, да? Разбитый... Опа.
Oh no. It's starting again. It's amazing. Everything's changing. Everything.
А это уже то, что было до. А не
Everything's
после.
mutating. And I haven't even moved. I don't understand. I don't understand anything.
Там вот эта женщина была. Осколки
A
стекла.
handful of tiny shards of brightly colored glass. The remains of the stained glass window on the side of the church, destroyed by the Great Wave.
We still have time.
Возьмем. Разбитый витраж.
The remains of the stained glass window that went with the intact one on the other side of the door of the church. The Great Wave must have shattered it.
The thunderous voice of your angels through
Considering the
gash.
condition of the rest of the
That
church,
is your
it's
sign.
amazing that the stained glass window is still in place and practically intact. Such little light that gets in from the street gives it a ghostly appearance.
И вообще там
Illuminate us with your fiery
типа
voice,
чертик
Lord.
с
Send us a
крыльями
sign.
падает типа с неба. Прихожане.
A few parishioners listened to the words of the preacher, mesmerized. Although I'm sure that, like me, they can't decipher the meaning of his mystical rants either.
Are we the guilty ones?
Что там можно еще взять? А, потрогать скульптуру. Так, ну давайте сначала
The only
посмотрим.
statue in this place still standing. It's Saint... what's his name? Patron saint of... who knows what? I'm afraid that if I ever was a believer, all that information has also been blanked.
Павшая колонна.
This column fragment must have fallen off one of the walls during the catastrophe. Now it's keeping the pedestal of the statue company.
Illuminate us with your fiery
Скамейки.
voice, Lord.
Seated on these disarranged
Send us a
pews,
sign.
some people are listening to the preacher. Others just nod off. I guess they don't have anywhere else to go.
Каменный
This
крест.
enormous stone cross casts a giant shadow across the aisle of the church. Perhaps that wasn't the original intention, but the result is pretty gloomy and menacing.
А, проповедный, господи, преподобный Блейк. Это вот про него как раз говорили.
The ruins
Давайте
of the
потрогаем
temple,
скульптуру.
the lion above the flames. We still have time.
The catastrophe caused a lot of damage to the statue's pedestal. The fact that the statue is still standing is a miracle.
Так, ну судя по всему, она упадет.
They come from one of the church's broken stained glass windows. They're pretty and eye-catching, and have a nice variety of colors. Tomorrow comes today. There's something about the composition that's strangely familiar to me. Some memory related to my former life, perhaps? Or maybe it's just a memory glitch caused by the Great Wave.
That is your sign.
Так, ладно.
That must be Reverend Blake, the preacher I heard about in the camp. I don't understand a word of that man's sermon. And I'm afraid the other faithful don't either. Could that be the reason why everyone reveres him so much? I'm not going to interrupt him in the middle of his sermon. That would be rude.
Угу.
I'm not going to interrupt him in the middle of his sermon.
Так, ну получается, нам надо прийти сюда, когда закончится... Все закончится, в общем, да. Ну-ка, а я могу камешками
I don't
там?
think I'd gain anything.
Нет, я думаю, что мне нужен ломик или что-то такое. А это куда? Ага. Охранное ограждение. Въезд для транспорта. А, вот он, медцентр. Я думала, что он будет немножко дальше. Охранное
This
ограждение.
fence protects the compound on all four sides. As impenetrable and menacing as the one around the refugee camp. It seems like barbed wire barricades are the only architecture possible in this new world.
Въезд для
I
транспорта.
can't see any entrance for pedestrians from here, which would seem to indicate that you can only get inside the compound through that barrier.
Медцентр.
It's rather disconcerting to see such a small building surrounded by such extreme security measures. Could this be the medical center people have been telling me about?
Густые заросли.
This thick wall of trees goes from one end of the compound to the other. It's so dense that you can hardly see anything through it. Who the hell would think to build these facilities without clearing the lot first?
Люк.
It's one of the ways into the city's sewer system. The Great Wave wrecked this place. Did the same thing happen down there?
Влажная почва. Влажная.
Strange. The soil here seems darker and less packed than the soil around it. In fact, the mud in this part of the ground is a bit damp and mushy. My fingers even leave marks in it when I touch it.
Мгм.
One area has looser, My fingers...
Так. Тухлая
These are the
рыба.
remains of the fish that used to swim around in the fountain. It looks like the catastrophe caught them by surprise, too. Ugh. The smell they give off is nauseating. You can smell these dead creatures from several yards away. I have no intention of picking up those rotten fish with my hands, to say nothing of putting them in my pocket.
Так, ладно, значит, она нам пока что не нужна. Каменный
A
фонтан.
bucolic fountain covered with ivy and moss. The park's desolation gives it an air of mystery from this side of the fence. In its day, it must have been home to a school of goldfish, which I suppose are now gradually decomposing inside it.
Так. А, можно еще сюда куда-то пройти. Железные врата.
Someone went to a lot of trouble
ворота.
to weld the front gate of the park shut. I'm afraid that access is totally and hopelessly blocked.
Табличка.
Southside Park. Would you believe
Южный
it?
парк.
This must be the famous suicide park I've been hearing so much about. Huh. The pun is as witty as it is macabre.
Угу. Дощечка с надписью.
Closed for public health reasons is written on this piece of wood nailed to the stump. Wait a minute. Health with no A?
Забираем. Пень векового древа.
Judging from its girth, this giant must have lived for hundreds of years before someone got the bright idea of cutting it down. Now the stump is guarding the entrance to the park.
Спокойной ночи, Апа. Мы тоже, кстати, скоро будем заканчивать. Но я думаю, что можно все досмотреть здесь. Возможно, даже эту главу пройти. Ну, в общем, посмотрим, как получится. Так, давайте сохранимся. Это мне там не нравятся ребята, которые там охранники.
This entrance is reserved for authorized motor vehicles only. Get away from it. Move on.
Опа.
What the hell? Those savages don't get around. I'd better avoid getting too close to that area, at least on foot.
По крайней мере, пока я пеший. Так, нам надо мотоцикл спереть.
The park is closed down, and the front gate is locked shut. If I want to get in there, it won't be through the gate.
Окей. Ну-ка, люк.
So, let's see. Impossible. It's not that it's super heavy. It's that there's hardly any place to insert your fingers to lift this manhole cover.
Ржавые гвозди. А, наверное, на них была дощечка прибита.
This plank doesn't quite fit anywhere.
Нет. Давай тогда попробуем вот так сделать. Нет.
It's not that securely, but I need something stronger to tear this sign down.
Нужно поискать что-то покрепче. Может, попросить его болторез отдать?
I need to get in here.
I'm sorry.
Help me.
Так. Тут нет такого диалога. Осколки стекла, дощечка с надписью, плакат, ржавые гвозди.
The ruins of the temple, the lion above the
Вот это еще разговаривает. Так, ну-ка, может, я могу теперь потрогать мотоцикл?
Hey, Rat, I don't think that motorcycle belongs to you. Or at least I don't remember seeing your name on it anywhere. Am I mistaken?
Are you one of those people who have no respect?
I'm beginning to get an idea.
Так, а если я... Сейчас я сохранюсь. Поставлю сюда табличку с надписью. Типа это мой мотоцикл. Но нет. Применить куда-то дощечку. Тут мне деньги нужны. Возможно, я на что-то могу обменять. Не знаю, нужны ржавые гвозди.
It's just a handful of glass shards. I don't think anyone could be very interested. It doesn't seem like a good idea.
Ну-ка, если просто с ним поговорить.
Hello again. What can I get for you?
I'm not really interested.
Нету. А у этого?
Hi, Mike. So what brings you here?
Во. Тебе что-нибудь говорят слова буковый оракул?
Do the words Beechwood Oracle mean anything to you?
No. Sorry, dude. Doesn't ring a bell. What is it? Some kind of riddle or play on words?
I don't know. Someone told me about it, and I'm curious. That's all. I should be going now.
Ладно, я
Fine.
пошла.
You're welcome anytime. No questions asked.
Hello, mister. Are you still waiting?
I still am. That's all I can do at this point, don't you agree?
I should be
Так, у
going up.
него тоже нет новых диалогов. Пойдемте к своим вернемся.
Can I ask you a few questions?
I'll answer anything you...
Well,
Just be...
Может, дощечкой
it
можно
doesn't look
дверку
like it's having
открыть?
any effect.
Нет. Что мы еще можем сделать? Деньги нужны.
Best not to waste time trying to nail this here. I don't quite see how I could use this here.
Может, попробовать вот сюда сходить? Последнее. Молодец!
Hello, Michael.
Вы отлично справились с заданием, с меня
You did a very
прочитается.
good job with your mission. I owe you.
Yes, our dad would be proud.
Are you going to give us a reward, Michael?
Of course. You deserve it. Give me time.
Yeah!
Ой, я случайно мискликнула.
I have to get going.
Так, что-то, что можно... Не знаю, хотите
Those
гвоздей?
boys are expecting some type of reward for completing their mission, and I don't think they're going to find this very exciting.
Может, стеклышки разноцветные?
Those boys are expecting some, and I don't.
Дощечка?
Those boys are, and I.
Хотите
Those
плакатик?
boys are, and I.
Нет. Ладно. Нет, так нет. А, у нас же тут еще 2 места было, да? Тут были прутья. Но прутья я пока не могу ничего сделать. Хотя и здесь тоже. Может, дощечку?
This plank doesn't quite fit.
Она такая же маленькая.
They were nailed into it. I have no intention of putting them back in their holes.
Здесь они были прибитые, я не собираюсь втыкать их обратно. Может, тебе просто гвоздей там не хватает?
The entire world is turned into a trash heap. Do I really think I'm going to find someone who wants a handful of rusty nails? Use this here? How?
Нет. Надо как-то снять знак метро.
This plank doesn't quite fit anyway. It's not that securely attached to the wall, but I need something stronger to tear this sign down.
Что мы можем еще сделать?
The park is closed down. If I want to get in there, it won't be through the gate. I don't think I'd gain anything by using. This plank doesn't quite...
Illuminate us with your...
До сих пор разговаривает. Что-то непонятно. Что делать дальше?
I don't see any need to nail anything to this. I don't think doing this... I don't think this handful of glass shards would be of any use here.
Полки стекла.
A piece of wood with a handwritten sign. Closed for public health reasons. Judging from the handwriting and the spelling mistake, I assume the author of the message was one of those animals in uniform. Can I ask you a few questions?
Sure, but make it snappy. Can't you see that we're very busy?
Во. Что происходит в той церкви? Там все в конец обезумели?
What goes on inside that church? Has everyone gone completely crazy?
Are you referring to the pastor and his flock? Oh, don't pay too much attention to them. Reverend Blake is a good man. He helped a lot of people after the Great Wave. But he gradually started to lose his mind until he reached the state he's in now.
Well, I stopped by once or twice to listen to him preach. The days are long. You have to find something to do. I try to go at this time of day. There are fewer people because it's almost curfew time. The Reverend seems obsessed with that atmospheric phenomenon in the sky and with religious themes of guilt and repentance. Although I think he's actually just talking about himself. But the most surprising thing about all this is that he has hundreds of followers. And he's attracting more and more all the time from all over the city. And they even let him into the refugee camp once in a while to preach there. People adore him.
Why does that surprise you? We've been following sane leaders since time began. And look where that got us. Maybe it's time to start following the crazier ones.
Well, that's the most sensible thing I've heard you say all day.
Атмосферный феномен. Вы говорите об этой щели в небе? В лагере никто не знает, что это такое.
Atmospheric phenomenon? Are you referring to the gash in the sky? In the camp, no one knows what it is.
On this side of the fence, the authorities have come up with their own scientific term, atypical controlled turbulence in the upper ionosphere. Though I suppose that's just a fancy way of telling us that they have no idea what the hell it was that split the sky in two after the Great Wave.
It makes my blood run cold when that aberration starts to grind out that noise like a piece of rusty machinery.
I wish those scrambled little clouds up there were the worst of our problems, dear.
Oh, shut up.
Спасибо за беседу.
Thanks for the chat.
Thanks for the company, friend.
Кстати, я не смотрела, как вот это место выглядит, да? Надо постоять на одном месте и посмотреть. А, кстати, я же и в баре не смотрела, по-моему. Или может она так не работает? Возможно, не во всех сценах работает. Так. Давайте сохранимся. Что-то я пока не понимаю, что мне делать. У меня есть плакатик, осколки, дощечка, гвоздь.
The ruins of the temple, the lion above the flames. We still have
До сих пор не закончил. Может, на эту статую того?
Let's see. If I wedge one of the ends of the plank under the statue's pedestal, the other part will rest directly on the base of the toppled column.
Зачем? Что? Рычаг? Что за рычаг?
I'm afraid I can't do that. A wooden plank wedged under the foot of the religious statue, acting as a lever with rather blasphemous intentions.
А, Потрогать скульптуру, чтобы она...
The catastrophe caused a lot of damage to the statue's pedestal. The fact that the statue is still standing is a miracle.
The ruins of the temple, the lion above the flames. We still have time. We're waiting, Lord. Did we do it? Illuminate us! Send us a sign with your just and vengeful arm! Is this our fault? Listen! It's the fiery breath of God! The Lord has sent us his sign! And I was right! It is all our fault! We did it, and we have aroused his fury!
But what the hell's going on here?
Look! That's the sign! Forgive us, Lord! Forgive us! Repent, all ye sinners!
It's the atmospheric phenomenon I've been hearing so much about. That infernal sound coming from the crack in the sky. It's terrifying.
That is the sign! We did it! Forgive us, Lord! Forgive us! My children, God has spoken to us with his darkest voice. Haven't you heard him? But there's still time. All is not lost. We still have time. Salvation lies in the place where it all began, in the ruins, at the source. We must return to the ruins of the temple. We must return. We must.
Так. В общем, мне надо было сделать знак. Вот. Я это поняла после того, как уже сделала. Толстый осколок, толстый кусок, острый, толстый кусок стекла.
Among all the fragments of the stained glass window scattered on the floor, there's one big piece of glass.
То есть, короче, один был витраж разбитый, я разбила второй. Нормально.
Well, look at that. Next to this enormous hunk of glass, the colored glass shards I picked up earlier look ridiculous. I'd better get rid of them.
Лучше избавиться от них. А, то есть те он выбросил. Окей. Теперь можно с ним поговорить.
Hello. I heard your sermon and...
Yeah, God has shown us his sign. He has finally spoken to all of us. With his thunderous voice, he has revealed the unknown. We did it. It's all our fault. We did it. But there's still time. All is not lost. There's still time to avoid it. The head of the lion above the flames that holds the key to everything.
Ну что же мы сделали?
But what is it we did?
Time is the will of God. It is his heart and his hammer. The centuries and the ages belong solely to him. The celestial empire is a divine clock. Time rotates around God. Its hands are his angels and archangels. Now I see it all clearly. How could we have been so stupid? Our arrogance had enraged him. That's what we did.
This man is definitely crazy. Nothing he says makes any sense.
I beg you, leave my brother in peace. He's very upset.
Ну вот эта вот женщина как раз-таки вот в том видении моем и была. Что мы сделали? Извините, я в ваших словах ничего не понял.
What? I'm sorry, but I didn't understand a word you just said.
We sullied his name. We didn't know that each second is a drop of Christ's blood, and that only he can reign over the interval, over the infinite mysticism of the fragment. Only he can reign over time with his incandescent omnipotence, and we were unable to see it. And now he is enraged, and we're to blame. That's what we did.
Я все еще не понимаю, что мы сделали.
Each cycle is a fluorescent gust of God's will, don't you see? Can't you see it? He reigns over the days and the hours from the inscrutable luminescence of his dwelling place. And we are just instants that slip through his fingers. Time is his, and his alone. And we tried to wrest it from him. That's what we did.
Так, все сереньким стало. О каком знамении вы говорите?
What signs are you referring to?
The dark angels of God clamor madly through the open wound that is bleeding the kingdom of heaven dry. Haven't you heard? They were speaking with a thunderous voice. God is furious. That is his sign.
I suppose in his delirium, the man has mistaken that strange sound coming from the gash in the sky left by the great wave as a sign from the heavens. He's definitely lost his mind.
Please be so kind as to leave us in peace. Can't you see that my brother is very agitated?
Скажите, что именно мы еще способны предотвратить?
What is it that we can still prevent?
The wrath of God, the destruction of man. There's still time. We did it, but we still have time. The key is in the ruins of the temple. We have to find the ruins of the temple. Look for the head of the lion above the flames. Bring me the head of the lion above the flames while there's still time.
Что?
But this church is already in ruins. It hardly has any walls or a foundation left. You're already in the ruins of the temple.
No, you're mistaken. Bring me the head of the lion above the flames.
That's enough. Stop tormenting my brother. He's exhausted.
The head of the lion above the flames? That sounds absurd. It makes no sense.
Вы говорите об атмосферном феномене в небе, оставленном великой
I
волной?
assume you're referring to the atmospheric phenomenon in the sky caused by the great wave.
No, no! It's the stench of human arrogance that made the gears of the gates of hell grind. And now they're opening up like a festering wound to swallow us all. Can it be that you haven't heard it? That is his sign.
Извините, но я сомневаюсь, что это божественный знак.
Excuse me, but I don't think that was a divine sign.
We've lacerated the sacred skin of the shroud God enveloped us in. We've betrayed him. We've stabbed him with our infinite arrogance. And you can see the mark etched on the heavens. Through that gash, Lucifer has shattered our name from on high. Satan is calling each and every one of us by name. Can't you hear it? That is his sign.
Думаю, лучше оставить вас в
I think
покое.
it's best that I leave you in peace.
Yes, leave my brother in peace.
There's still time. There's still time. Bring me the head of the lion above the flames.
Голову льва. Сестра преподобного
She
Блейка.
meditates in silence, resigned and exhausted. Considering the mental state of Reverend Blake, I guess it falls to her to take care of him night and day.
Так, что мы там записали? Принести ему львиную голову над пламенем, у преподобного Блейка с головой еще хуже, чем я думал. Это то, что я записала. Так. У нас появился какой-то острый кусок стекла. Вот интересно, смогу ли я вот так
What for?
сделать?
I'd only end up breaking the glass, or even worse, cutting my hand with it.
Или того хуже, порежу руку. Кусок стекла. Кусок стекла.
It doesn't look like it's
Кусок стекла. Для чего мне нужен кусок стекла? Учитывая, что ничего другого я вообще не знаю, как куда применить.
What for? I'd only end up cutting my hand with it.
Так, ладненько. давайте мы на этом с вами закончим, ребят. Сохранюсь, наверное, вот сюда, в самую крайнюю. Вот. Мы, в принципе, с вами неплохо прошли. Я помню, что я не выбралась из города, когда играла первый раз сама. Вот, сейчас мы с вами выбрались из города. А что же будет дальше, будем смотреть уже на следующем стриме по этой игре. Вот. Так, давайте я вас отправлю к Демию. Из игры выйдем. Так. Деми там стримит Silent Hill. Держите рейдик. Да. Все, ребят. Спасибо вам за стрим. Увидимся с вами завтра. Завтра у нас суббота. Завтра Dishonored. Продолжение Dishonored. Ильнур будет играть. Вот. Все. Да, с этой игрой пока до следующей недели. Вот. На этой неделе у нас завтра вот только последний стрим. В воскресенье выходной. И с понедельника новое расписание. А там уже поставлю, куда поставиться. Все, ребят. Хорошего вам вечера, сладеньких снов. И всем пока-пока.